Have you ever wondered if the world you think is real is just a shadow of something more? It's a strange question, but one an ancient Greek philosopher named Plato asked thousands of years ago. He told a story called the allegory of the cave, and it still makes us wonder. Imagine people chained in a deep cave their whole lives, only able to look at a wall. Behind them, a fire burns, and figures pass by, casting shadows. The prisoners don't see the real people or objects. They only see the shadows on the wall. To them, these moving shadows are their entire reality. They name them, they talk about them, believing these images are all there is. But here's the thing. What if one prisoner broke free? What if they slowly made their way out of the cave, into the blinding sunlight? At first, it would hurt their eyes. The real world would feel too bright, too overwhelming. They might even want to go back to the familiar, comforting shadows. But if they stayed, they would eventually see the true beauty of the world, the trees, the sky, the sun itself. And if they went back into the cave to tell the others, how do you think they would be treated? Would the others even believe them? This ancient story isn't just about a cave or shadows. It's about us. Plato used it to make us think about how we know things. He suggested that what we see with our eyes might just be like those shadows. Maybe there's a truer reality our minds have to work to find. Think about how we sometimes see filtered photos on our phones. They look real, but they're just a version of the truth, a shadow of the actual person. And that's why it matters. This story encourages us to question what we see, to look beyond the surface. It's about bravely seeking what's truly real, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. It reminds us that sometimes the hardest truths light up our world the most. Have you ever stopped to wonder, really wonder, what makes a life good? Not just happy for a moment, but deeply, truly good? For many, the idea of a good life feels like a lucky guess, something you hope happens to you. But thousands of years ago, a very smart thinker named Aristotle disagreed. He said a good life isn't just luck. It's something you plan for, something you build, day by day, choice by choice. Here's the thing. Aristotle wasn't talking about being rich or famous. He had a word for it, eudaimonia, which basically means human flourishing or living well. Think of it like this. A plant doesn't just feel happy, right? It flourishes when it has the right soil and sunlight, growing strong and healthy. For Aristotle, humans are kind of like that plant. We flourish when we live with purpose, developing good character through wise choices. He believed that becoming a good person, living a good life, is like learning to play a musical instrument really well. You don't just pick up a guitar and instantly play a symphony. You practice, you learn chords, you repeat scales. It might feel hard at first, but with steady effort, these small actions become habits, and those habits build skill. Soon, you're not just playing notes, you're making music. Aristotle taught that living well is about practicing good habits, like being honest, brave, or kind, until they become part of who you are. These aren't just rules, they're pathways. So, when we think about predicting the future, Aristotle gives us a powerful tool. He reminds us that our future isn't just out there waiting. It's being shaped right now by the choices we make, the habits we form, and the kind of person we choose to become. It's about building a strong foundation for the life we truly want to live, one thoughtful step at a time. It's about growing into our best selves, not just hoping we get there. Have you ever stopped to really think about the why behind things? Not just what happened, but why it happened, or why we believe what we do. Sometimes we think answers are the most important thing, but what if the questions themselves hold a special kind of magic? What if asking why is more powerful than simply getting a quick answer? This idea is at the heart of what one very old philosopher taught us. His name was Socrates, and he lived in ancient Greece long, long ago. He was a thinker who didn't write books. Instead, he walked around the city, talking to people, and here's the thing. He asked questions. He asked about justice, about truth, about what it means to be good. He believed that the only thing he truly knew was that he knew nothing at all. And because he felt that way, he kept asking. He wasn't trying to trick anyone. He just wanted to help people really think about their own ideas, to dig deeper than the surface. He felt that by questioning, people could truly understand themselves and the world around them. It was a way to wake up their minds. Think about when you're trying to figure out why your phone acts weird or why a friend is upset. You don't just accept it. You ask questions. When did it start? What did I do? Why did they say that? This helps you understand the bigger picture, right? That's like Socrates, but for big ideas. So, why do questions still matter? Because they push us. They keep our minds open and curious. They remind us there's always more to learn, always another layer to uncover. Asking why isn't about finding one perfect answer that makes all other questions disappear. It's about the journey of thinking, of growing, and of truly seeing the world with open eyes. It's about understanding that sometimes the greatest wisdom isn't knowing everything, but knowing how to keep asking. Have you ever wondered what true happiness really feels like? Is it a loud party, a mountain of cool new stuff, or maybe something much quieter? An ancient Greek thinker named Epicurus had some pretty surprising ideas about this. He lived over 2,000 years ago, and he thought happiness wasn't about having a huge fortune or throwing wild, non-stop parties. Instead, Epicurus believed real joy came from something much simpler, finding peace of mind and being free from pain. He said true pleasure wasn't about seeking out intense, thrilling experiences, because those often bring trouble or regret later. It was about finding calm. Think about the quiet comfort of good friends, a simple, delicious meal, and deep, thoughtful conversations. He called this state ataraxia, which means being undisturbed, without worries or fear. People often misunderstood Epicurus. They thought he was all about indulgence, but he actually taught moderation and a peaceful, steady life. He lived in a garden with his students, focusing on simple living. For him, pain was the real enemy. Not just physical pain, but the mental pain that comes from worrying too much or being scared. So, imagine you've had a really busy week at school full of tests and projects. What feels best on a Friday night? Is it a huge, noisy event where you might feel overwhelmed or left out? Or is it chilling with a couple of close friends, watching a movie, or just talking, maybe with some pizza? Epicurus would say the second option brings more lasting peace. It's like how a steady, calm heartbeat keeps you healthy, not a wild, racing one. Perhaps real happiness isn't this big, flashy thing we chase. Maybe it's something small, simple, and steady. It's in the quiet moments, the warmth of genuine friendship, and the peace of knowing you have enough. It's about learning to enjoy the stillness and finding joy in the everyday. That kind of quiet wisdom from a philosopher long ago still whispers to us today, calm in chaos, how the Stoics stay strong. Have you ever felt like everything around you was just too much? Like the world was spinning so fast you couldn't keep up, or a storm was raging inside your mind? It's a natural feeling, a human feeling, to sometimes feel lost when life gets chaotic. But imagine if you had a secret way to stay calm, no matter what. This is what the Stoics, a group of wise thinkers from ancient Greece and Rome, tried to figure out. Here's the thing. They lived in a time filled with wars, diseases, and sudden changes. Life was tough, and people needed a way to find peace. So, these philosophers, like Seneca, Epictetus, and even Emperor Marcus Aurelius, developed a way of thinking that focused on one powerful idea. We can't always control what happens to us, but we can always control how we react. Think of it like being a deep-sea diver. The ocean around them might be wild, with strong currents and dark depths, but inside their diving suit, they are calm. They focus on their breathing, their equipment, and their mission. They can't stop the ocean from moving, but they can control their own movements and their thoughts within that vast, powerful world. That's the Stoic idea. They built an inner fortress in their minds. This means choosing to focus only on what's truly within your power. Your choices, your actions, your thoughts. They knew that external things, like what other people say, or if you get a bad grade, or if the weather ruins, your plans are not up to you. But your response, that's yours. And that's why it matters. So, this ancient wisdom reminds us that even when the world feels loud and confusing, there's always a quiet, calm place we can find within ourselves. It's about remembering that our true strength isn't in controlling everything outside us, but in mastering the gentle, powerful world of our own minds. Have you ever thought about what real strength truly means? Is it always loud and forceful, like a crashing wave, or a strong wind pushing everything aside? Or can strength be quiet, almost unseen, like something gentle that still changes everything? This idea comes from a very old Chinese thinker named Laozi. He lived a long time ago, maybe around 600 BC, during a time when there was a lot of fighting and trouble. But Laozi taught a different way, a path he called the Tao, or the Way. Laozi looked at the world and saw something powerful in water. Water is soft. You can put your hand right through it. It doesn't seem strong like a hard rock. Yet, water, over time, can wear down mountains. It flows around obstacles instead of crashing into them. It always finds the lowest path, quietly filling every space, never fighting. This isn't weakness. It's an amazing kind of hidden power. Laozi believed humans could learn from water. He taught that instead of always trying to control things or push back, sometimes the wisest thing is to be flexible and adapt. Think about how a stream flows. If there's a big rock blocking the way, it doesn't try to smash it. It simply flows around it, finding a new path, still moving forward. It reaches its goal without force. In our own lives, being stubborn and yelling often doesn't work. But if you're calm, listen, and find a way to work with a problem like water flowing around a stone, you often achieve more with less struggle. So, Laozi's deep thought for us is that true strength isn't always about being rigid or controlling. It's about being soft, adaptable, and persistent. It's about understanding that sometimes the quietest path is the most effective. Just like water, which seems so gentle, can shape the entire earth over time, so too can a calm and yielding spirit achieve great things. It's a peaceful power, one that teaches us how to live in harmony with the world. Have you ever noticed how some groups just click, like a sports team where everyone really works together, or a class where people genuinely help each other out? There's a feeling of comfort, a quiet strength when that happens. An ancient Chinese philosopher named Confucius thought a lot about this feeling, about how we connect. He lived a very long time ago, more than 2,500 years back in China. He looked at the world around him and saw a lot of arguing and confusion. He wondered, how can people live together well? How can we make things peaceful and strong? Confucius believed that building a good society, or even a great team, starts with something surprisingly small. How you treat the person right in front of you. It's not about grand plans or big speeches. He taught that if you show kindness and respect to your family, then to your friends, then to your neighbors, it spreads out. It's like dropping a pebble in a still pond. The ripples grow wider and wider. So, for Confucius, the core idea was that everything important, from a small group to a whole country, depended on strong, respectful relationships. Here's how it works. Imagine you're part of a group project at school. If everyone is just focused on themselves, maybe ignoring others' ideas or not doing their share, the project probably won't turn out well. But if everyone listens, offers help, and treats each other's thoughts with respect, then something truly good happens. The work gets better, sure, but also, everyone feels more connected, more valued. This is what Confucius was talking about. He called this idea Ren, which means something like humanity or goodness. Basically, treating others with deep care because they are human, just like you. And that's why it matters. When we do these simple, kind acts, we don't just make that moment better, we help build something bigger. We weave stronger connections, one kind act at a time, creating a real sense of belonging and strength for everyone. It makes us all feel more whole, more understood, like we truly belong. Power plays. Machiavelli's shocking truths about leaders. Have you ever looked at someone in charge of principle, a president, even the captain of a team, and wondered what it's really like to lead? What difficult choices do they face that we never see? And how far would someone go to keep control, not just for themselves, but maybe for everyone? Centuries ago, in a time of great change in Italy, there lived a thinker named Niccolo Machiavelli. He saw princes and rulers constantly fighting, making deals, and sometimes doing things that seemed harsh or even cruel. Instead of writing about how leaders should be like a perfect hero from a story, Machiavelli wrote about how they actually are. He looked at human nature honestly, even the parts that are uncomfortable to admit. Here's the thing he suggested. A leader might sometimes need to choose what is effective over what is good in a traditional sense, if it means keeping order and preventing chaos. It's not about being evil, but about facing a world where power is always at stake. Imagine you're leading a group project, and one person just isn't pulling their weight. If you don't do something firm, the whole project could fail, right? Machiavelli might say a leader has to make the tough call, maybe even appear harsh, to make sure the project or the kingdom succeeds. He believed that people are often driven by self-interest, and a wise leader understands this. They can't always rely on people being naturally kind or loyal. So they might need to use a bit of cleverness, maybe even some fear, to keep things stable. It's a heavy thought, isn't it? That the weight of leading can sometimes push good people to do uncomfortable things, all to hold the delicate threads of power and prevent everything from falling apart. It makes you wonder about the true cost of leadership and the lonely, often hidden burdens leaders carry. Have you ever wondered if everything around you is truly real? What if it's all just a very vivid dream or a super advanced simulation? Like a video game, so real you can't tell the difference. This deep question of what's real is something philosophers have wrestled with for centuries. And it's exactly what troubled a French thinker named René Descartes way back in the 1600s. Descartes lived in a time when many old ideas were being challenged. People were starting to question everything they thought they knew about the world, from science to religion. He felt a need to find something, anything, that he could be absolutely certain was true. So he decided to doubt everything he possibly could. He doubted his senses. Maybe his eyes were deceiving him. He doubted his memories. Maybe they weren't accurate. He even wondered if an evil demon was tricking him into believing things that weren't real. But as he doubted, he stumbled upon one thing he couldn't doubt: the very act of doubting itself. If he was doubting, if he was thinking, then there had to be a he to do the thinking. Even if he was being tricked, he still existed as a mind capable of being tricked. And that's where his famous phrase comes from: I think, therefore I am. In Latin, it's cogito ergo sum. It means that the simple fact that you can think, can question, can wonder, that proves you exist. Your thoughts are the undeniable anchor in a world that might otherwise feel uncertain. Think about a really intense dream where you're flying or solving a mystery. For a moment, it feels completely real, but when you wake up, you realize it was just a dream. Descartes was looking for something more solid than that. He found it in the quiet, undeniable whisper of his own mind. So this idea tells us something powerful. Even when everything else seems unsure, the simple act of our own conscious thought, our ability to be aware, is the most real thing we possess. It's a quiet truth within us, a solid ground from which we can begin to understand everything else. Life without rules, Hobbes' scary vision. Have you ever wished there were no rules? No school bells, no curfews, no traffic lights? Sometimes, the thought of complete freedom feels like a whisper, promising endless possibilities. But what if there truly were no rules at all? Imagine, for a moment, a world stripped bare of every guiding line. This deep question about life without structure, often called the state of nature, was explored by a brilliant thinker named Thomas Hobbes. He lived a long time ago in England, during a period when his country was torn apart by civil war. He witnessed firsthand how quickly order could crumble, how fear could grip people when society's invisible threads snapped. And so he began to ponder what humans are like, truly, without any government or law. Here's the thing. Hobbes believed that if there were no rules, no laws, no one in charge to enforce them, life would be incredibly harsh. He saw human nature as fundamentally driven by self-interest. People left entirely to themselves would always be trying to get what they want, even if it meant clashing with others. There would be no true right or wrong, only the raw pursuit of what you could take or hold on to. Think about a chaotic video game where players can attack anyone, anytime, with no goals, no penalties, and no way to truly win. Just endless, messy conflict. Hobbes famously described this state as a war of all against all. He painted a chilling picture, saying that in such a world, life would be solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. This means you'd be alone, struggling to survive, constantly living in fear, and your life would likely end quickly. Anything you built, any small comfort you found, could be instantly snatched away. There would be no space for art, or science, or even deep friendships, because trust would be a dangerous illusion. So, while the idea of boundless freedom might initially shimmer with appeal, Hobbes's stark vision makes us pause. Perhaps the rules we live by, even the ones that feel restrictive, are not just chains, but rather the very foundation of our peace. They are the quiet agreements that let us build schools, heal in hospitals, and share laughter without fear. They allow us to feel safe enough to dream, to learn, and to truly live in a way that is not just about survival, but about connection and possibility. Imagine, for a moment, simply being born. What comes with that breath, that first cry? Do you arrive empty, waiting for someone to give you permission to live, to be free? Or are some things just there, like a quiet, invisible gift, tucked deep inside you from the very start? This is a big question that John Locke, a thinker from a long time ago in the 1600s, wrestled with. Back then, many people believed kings had all the power. They decided what rights, if any, ordinary people had. But Locke saw things differently. He said, no, that's not how it works. He believed we are all born with what he called natural rights. These aren't rights given by a king or a government. They are rights that come with being human simply because you exist. Think of it like the way a sunflower naturally turns towards the sun. No one tells it to do that. It's just part of its nature, a built-in instruction. Locke talked about three main natural rights: life, liberty, and property. Life means you have a right to exist, to not be unfairly hurt or killed. Liberty means you have the right to make your own choices, to be free, not controlled by others. And property means you have a right to own things that you work for and create. These rights, Locke said, are like a basic code within us. No one can truly take them away, even if they try. They are yours just by being you. His ideas were incredibly powerful. They were like a seed planted in the minds of people who would one day write the American Declaration of Independence, shaping what we believe about freedom even now. So, the next time you think about what makes you remember Locke's quiet wisdom, it reminds us that each person holds a special kind of worth. A built-in freedom that is both ancient and always new is a gentle reminder that we are all truly born free. Have you ever felt a small, quiet truth inside you, wanting to be heard, but feared what might happen if you spoke it aloud? Perhaps it was an idea in class, a feeling about something unfair, or simply a different way of seeing the world and those around you. This feeling, this desire to share our thoughts, is at the heart of what we call freedom of expression. It's more than just talking. It's about sharing a piece of your inner world, even if it's different or unpopular. It's the quiet act of letting your spirit show. Centuries ago, in a time when kings and powerful people often decided what was true, a French writer named Voltaire stood tall. He lived a life where speaking his mind often landed him in trouble, even in prison. But here's the thing, he understood deeply. Even if he disagreed with every single word someone said, he would fight for their right to say it. He knew that the very act of speaking up, of letting ideas breathe, was vital for humanity's progress. He saw that silencing voices wasn't just unfair to the person speaking. It hurt everyone by stopping new ideas from growing. He understood that even difficult conversations or unpopular opinions could contain a tiny seed of truth or a valuable new idea that, if heard, could change things for the better. Think of it like a diverse garden. If only one type of flower is allowed to grow, the garden isn't truly alive or beautiful. But when all kinds of plants, with their different colors and scents, are allowed to bloom, the garden thrives and becomes something amazing. Our world is like that garden. It needs many voices, many perspectives to truly flourish. Voltaire teaches us that true strength isn't just in what you believe, but in protecting the space for everyone else to believe and express themselves too. It's a quiet courage, a gentle but firm insistence that truth, in its many forms, needs light and air to grow. And that's why it matters, because every time we allow a different voice to speak, we help build a kinder, more understanding future. It's about understanding that our shared journey forward depends on hearing all the different melodies in the human song. It's about respecting the quiet courage it takes to speak, and the even greater wisdom it takes to listen. Have you ever stopped to wonder how, without one big boss telling everyone what to do, we still manage to find all the food, clothes, and tools we need every single day? It's a quiet mystery, isn't it? As if an unseen force guides the world. Long ago, in the 1700s, a brilliant thinker named Adam Smith looked at this very question. He saw something remarkable happening, something he called the invisible hand. Here's the thing. Adam Smith suggested that when people act in their own best interest, when a baker bakes bread to earn money or a farmer grows crops to sell them, they are actually, without meaning to, helping everyone else. The baker isn't thinking, I will feed the town. They're thinking, I want to bake good bread so people buy it and I can support my family. But because people want that bread and the baker wants to sell it, the town gets fed. It's like when you trade cards with a friend. You both want something different, so you make a deal that helps both of you get what you want. No one is forced, it just happens naturally. That's the invisible hand at work in the market. It guides prices and choices, making sure things get made that people want, and that they often get made at a fair price because others are trying to sell similar things. This idea means that society's needs are met not because someone planned it all out, but because millions of people are simply trying to better their own lives. It's a delicate balance, a quiet hum in the background of our world. We reach for something in a store, and we feel the touch of this unseen hand, connecting us all through countless small choices, like threads weaving a massive, beautiful tapestry. It's a gentle reminder that even in our separate journeys, we often walk paths that lead us together to something truly wonderful. Have you ever felt a deep pull inside you? A quiet knowing that tells you what's truly right, even when it's hard or nobody is watching? This isn't just about what feels good or what might get you a reward. It's something more profound. Centuries ago, a thinker named Immanuel Kant explored this very feeling. Living in the late 1700s, a time when new ideas were blossoming like never before, Kant believed that our moral compass, that inner voice, points to unchanging truths. He felt there were some rules for living that were just, universal. They applied to every single person, in every situation, no matter what. And here's how he thought about it. For Kant, the goodness of an action didn't come from its results, or from how it made you feel. Instead, it came from the reason you did it. He believed you should act only in ways that you would want everyone else to act. It's like asking yourself, what if every person on earth did exactly what I'm about to do? All the time? Would the world become a better place, or would it crumble? If that action wouldn't work as a universal rule, then for Kant, it simply wasn't truly right. He called this idea the categorical imperative, a grand name for a simple but powerful command that never bends. Imagine you've promised to help a friend with a big project, but then something really fun comes up that same afternoon. You might be tempted to ditch your friend. But Kant would argue that keeping your promise isn't about avoiding your friend's disappointment, or even about feeling good about yourself. It's about the very act of keeping a promise. If everyone broke promises when something more fun came along, trust would vanish and our relationships would fall apart. So, for Kant, you keep the promise because the act of promise keeping itself is a universal duty. It's a deep, quiet agreement with yourself and with the world, choosing the path of truth and respect. Not because it's easy, but because it's the right thing, always. It's letting your inner compass guide you towards a beautiful, unyielding honesty. Have you ever felt like your ideas weren't heard, or that someone else got to make all the big decisions for you? Imagine that feeling, but for your entire life. Just because you were born a girl. Mary Wollstonecraft, a truly brave writer from a long time ago, looked at her world and saw this unfairness. She lived in the late 1700s, a time when most people believed women should only stay at home, taking care of the family, and that their minds weren't really meant for deep thinking or politics. But here's the thing. Mary saw women as full human beings, just like men. She argued that women had the same ability to reason and learn. Her most famous book was like a loud call for change, saying that women should have the same rights as men. And one of the biggest rights she fought for, the right to vote. She believed that if women could think, reason, and contribute to society, then they should also have a say in how society was run. This was a truly shocking idea back then, like suggesting that someone who'd always been quiet should suddenly lead the whole team. Think about it like this. Imagine your school's student council. If only the older kids got to vote on what events to have, even if the younger kids had great ideas, would that feel right? Mary Wollstonecraft felt that keeping women from voting was just as unfair. Her words were like seeds scattered into the wind, carrying the hopeful promise of a future where everyone, not just some, had a voice. Her message echoes still, a quiet reminder that the journey towards true freedom and fairness for all begins when we truly listen to every human heart and mind, valuing each one. Have you ever noticed how sometimes, when two different ideas meet, something completely new and better can emerge? A philosopher named Georg Hegel thought about this a lot. He lived a long time ago in Germany and saw history not just as a list of dates, but as a big unfolding story. He believed history moves forward through a kind of thoughtful argument. He called this the dialectic. Imagine one idea, like a thought you have. Then imagine an opposite idea, something that challenges your first thought. These two ideas clash or bump into each other. But from that clash, something amazing happens. A third, new idea is born. This new idea isn't just one or the other. It's a mix, but also something more complete. It's called a synthesis. For Hegel, history was always on a journey. It was always trying to understand itself better. Each time ideas argued and then blended, the world became a little bit smarter, a little more aware. He believed we were moving towards a deeper truth, a kind of absolute spirit, where everything made sense. It's like the universe itself is learning and growing. Think about a simple example, like how we learn. Maybe you think one way about a math problem. Then a friend shows you a completely different way to solve it. At first, you might disagree, but as you talk and compare, you find a new, even better way that combines both methods. That's a little like Hegel's idea playing out in your own mind. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? If life's big struggles and the clashes of ideas aren't just chaos, but actually part of a much larger story. A story where everything is slowly, patiently, becoming something more. Maybe even our own difficulties are just part of this grand unfolding, leading us to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world. It suggests that even in disagreement, there's a quiet promise of growth. Have you ever wondered why we always seem to want something even after we get what we thought we needed? Like, you finally get that new game console, and then pretty soon, you're already looking forward to the next big thing, or a different game, or something else entirely. Why are we always reaching, always chasing, always feeling that pull for more? A philosopher named Arthur Schopenhauer, who lived a long time ago in Germany, had some big ideas about this feeling. He believed there's this deep, powerful force inside every living thing, not just humans, but animals and even plants. He called it the will to live. Think of it like a hidden river flowing beneath everything, a constant, restless energy that pushes all life forward. It's not something we choose, and it doesn't think or have a plan. It just is. This will makes us want to survive, to grow, to create, to connect, to keep going no matter what. For Schopenhauer, this will is the very reason we exist. It's why a tiny sprout pushes through concrete to find sunlight, or why a hungry animal will search endlessly for food. It's the drive behind our deepest hungers, our thirst, our hopes, and our wildest dreams. And here's the thing, because this will is endless and never truly satisfied, we're often left feeling a bit restless ourselves. When we get one thing we want, the will just points us toward the next desire, then the next, in a never-ending cycle. So, according to Schopenhauer, life is a constant cycle of wanting and trying to satisfy those wants, only to find new ones emerge. It can feel a little heavy to think about, right? Like we're on a treadmill of endless desires. But understanding this deep pull, this powerful will to live, can also be comforting. It helps us see that much of what we feel, that constant urge for more, isn't just us being greedy or unsatisfied. It's a fundamental part of being alive. And maybe, just maybe, knowing this helps us find a moment of peace, understanding that true calm isn't about getting everything we want, but about noticing the force that drives the wanting itself and finding quiet within that understanding. Have you ever stopped to wonder who you truly are? Not just your name or what you like, but the deeper sense of you? What does it mean to truly choose who you become in this vast, complicated world? Søren Kierkegaard, a profound thinker from a long time ago in Denmark, wrestled with this very question. He didn't believe that our lives are like a pre-written story or that we simply follow a path laid out for us. Instead, he saw life as a series of moments where we make choices, big and small, often without knowing exactly how things will turn out. Think about it. Every single day, you make choices. What clothes to wear, which friends to spend time with, what ideas to explore, or even what to believe. These choices, even the small ones, slowly weave together to form the person you are becoming. This is what Kierkegaard focused on. The idea that you are not just born a certain way, but you are constantly choosing who you are. Kierkegaard felt that this amazing freedom to choose, this power to craft your own life, brings with it a unique feeling. He called it dread or anxiety. But here's the thing, this isn't a scary hiding under the bed kind of fear. It's the deep, serious feeling that comes from knowing there's no pre-written script, no easy answers. It's the weight of limitless possibilities. It's like being given a blank journal. You can write anything you want in it. That's exciting, right? But it's also a little overwhelming. What if you write the wrong thing? What if you waste the pages? That feeling of immense freedom and the slight worry that comes with it is what Kierkegaard was talking about. He understood that standing at a crossroads, feeling the weight of a decision, is a lonely place. No one else can truly make your most important choices for you. This path, your path, must be walked by you alone. But here's the beautiful part. That very act of choosing, even when it feels uncertain, is what makes you uniquely you. It's how you build your own story, brick by thoughtful brick, in a world full of possibilities. Rich versus poor. Marx's warning about class wars. Have you ever stopped to think about how some people have so much and others have so little? It's a question that makes you pause, isn't it? For a long time, people have wondered why wealth isn't spread out more evenly. And for some, it seems like the world is split into two very different parts. Here's the thing. Hundreds of years ago, a thinker named Karl Marx looked at the world around him. He saw factories growing, cities getting bigger, and new kinds of jobs appearing. But he also saw something that troubled him deeply. Most people worked really long hours for not much money, while a few people owned the factories and grew incredibly rich. This made him think about fairness. Marx came up with a big idea. He said that society was basically divided into two main groups, almost like two separate teams. There were the haves, the people who owned everything, like the land, the businesses, and the money-making tools. And then there were the have-nots, the workers who only had their ability to work. He believed that these two groups would always be in a kind of quiet struggle. The owners want to make as much money as possible, sometimes by paying workers less. The workers, though, want fair pay and good conditions. So, here's what happened. This constant push and pull, this tension, could become a big problem. Marx warned that if the gap between rich and poor became too wide, it could lead to huge fights, even revolutions. He called this a class war. Think about it like this. Imagine you and your friends are playing a video game where one player has all the powerful items and resources, while the others struggle to even get basic gear. How long would it be before the players with nothing start to get really frustrated with the one who has everything? And what might happen then? So, Marx's warning makes us reflect on a big question. How can we build a world where everyone has a fair chance? It's about more than just money. It's about dignity and about how we all live together. His ideas might seem old, but they still make us consider what a truly fair society looks like and what happens when people feel left behind. It's a heavy thought, but one that helps us understand our world a little better. Have you ever stopped to wonder, truly wonder, if the ideas of good and bad we grow up with are always what they seem? It's a strange thought, isn't it? For centuries, people believed these ideas came from a higher power or were simply woven into the fabric of the universe. But a philosopher named Friedrich Nietzsche had a different, very daring idea. He suggested that good and bad aren't fixed, like the laws of physics. Instead, he saw them as human inventions, crafted over long stretches of time. Think of it like this. Imagine a group of people living together. What they decide is good, maybe being humble, or helping others, might actually be a way to keep things orderly, or to make some people feel better. And what they call bad Maybe being too proud or too strong might be a way to control those who stand out. Nietzsche wanted us to look beyond these ideas, to question them deeply, and to create our own values based on strength and individual purpose, not just what society told us. He lived in Germany in the late 1800s, a time when many traditional beliefs were starting to crumble. Nietzsche observed how certain ideas of morality, especially those from traditional religion, sometimes seemed to praise weakness or discourage people from becoming truly powerful individuals. He didn't say kindness was bad, but he asked if a society that only valued kindness might miss out on cultivating courage, ambition, or greatness. It's like a path through a dense forest. We might blindly follow the worn trail, but Nietzsche urged us to step off to blaze our own. Consider how something as simple as winning is viewed. In some sports, being fiercely competitive is good, but in a classroom, being too competitive might be seen as bad if it means you put others down. The good or bad depends on the situation and who is defining it. Nietzsche's challenge was to look beyond these surface judgments and ask, what truly makes you strong? What truly helps you grow? It's a call to honest self-reflection, a gentle invitation to explore the quiet corners of our own hearts and minds, to understand that our truest values might not be found in old books, but within the brave act of defining ourselves. Have you ever woken up from a strange dream, a jumble of impossible places and people, and wondered what it all meant? What if these nighttime stories aren't just random, but a secret language your own mind is speaking? This is what a famous thinker named Sigmund Freud believed a long time ago. He suggested that our dreams are like coded messages sent from a deep, hidden part of us. Freud was an Austrian doctor who lived more than 100 years ago. He spent his life trying to understand the human mind, especially the parts we aren't aware of. He called this the unconscious. He thought dreams were a special path to understanding this hidden part of ourselves. To him, dreams weren't just weird pictures. They were our deepest wishes, fears, and feelings, all wrapped up in a disguise. Here's the thing. Our unconscious mind doesn't just blurt out exactly what it's thinking. Instead, it uses a process Freud called dream work. Imagine your mind is like a clever artist. It takes all your true feelings, some of which might be confusing or even uncomfortable, and turns them into symbols, riddles, or strange stories that make up your dream. It's like your mind is playing a game of charades with itself. Think of it like this. You might be worried about a test at school. Instead of dreaming about sitting in the classroom taking the test, your mind might make you dream about being lost in a giant maze or trying to climb a slippery hill that never ends. The maze or the hill is your mind's way of showing you that feeling of being stuck or facing a challenge without saying it directly. This dream work hides the true meaning a little bit, protecting you while you sleep. So our dreams are not just fleeting images. They are a kind of quiet, personal poetry written by our own souls. They invite us to listen closer to what's truly moving within us, even when we are not awake. Have you ever had a dream or heard an old story that just felt right, like it belonged to you, even though you'd never seen it before? It's a strange feeling, a whisper from somewhere deep inside. This idea of shared feelings and old universal stories is something a wise Swiss thinker named Carl Jung spent his life exploring. Here's the thing. Jung believed that deep down, beyond our personal memories, we all share a kind of hidden library in our minds. He called it the collective unconscious. Think of it like an invisible archive, filled with basic patterns, images, and feelings that belong to all humanity, not just us as individuals. It's not something we learn, it's something we inherit, passed down through generations, like our ability to breathe or our beating heart. So, here's how it works. For thousands of years, humans have faced similar challenges and felt similar emotions. We've wondered about courage, dreamed of love, and feared the unknown. These repeated experiences, these core patterns, became imprinted on our shared human mind. That's why no matter where you go in the world, you find stories with heroes, villains, and wise old guides. These aren't just random made-up characters. Jung said they are archetypes, basic blueprints for human roles and experiences that we all instantly understand. It's like when you see a symbol, like a circle, and it just feels complete or never-ending. or when you hear a story about someone trying to find their way home and it resonates deeply with you, even if you've never been lost. These feelings aren't something we learned in school. They are part of this shared human story, and that's why it matters. When we look at these ancient tales, or even think about our own most vivid dreams, we're not just seeing random pictures. We're glimpsing pieces of a much larger story, one that connects us all. It reminds us that even when we feel separate, there's a deep current of shared human experience flowing right through us. We are all part of the same ancient, ongoing dream. Have you ever truly learned something, not just by hearing about it, but by actually doing it, by feeling it with your own hands? It's a powerful question, one that a deep-thinking philosopher named John Dewey pondered a long time ago. He looked at schools in the late 1800s and early 1900s, places where students often sat still, quietly memorizing facts from books, and he wondered, is this truly how we prepare for life? Dewey felt that real learning, deep learning, happens when we are active. It's not just about absorbing information, it's about experiencing the world, trying things out, and solving problems that feel real to us. He called this powerful idea learning by doing. For him, school shouldn't be separate from life, but a part of it, a place where young people could explore and experiment just like they would in the world outside. Think about learning to play a musical instrument, like a guitar. You could read every book about music theory, learn every chord on paper, but you won't truly make music until your fingers touch the strings, until you strum that first note, make a mistake, and then try again. The sound, the feel of the wood, the quiet pride when you play a simple song, that's where the deep learning happens. It's in the doing, the trying, and the living of the experience. Dewey even started his own schools, where kids weren't just reading about history, but building miniature societies, or not just studying science, but doing experiments that helped them understand their world. He believed that through these real-life tasks, students would not only gain knowledge, but also build character and learn how to truly think for themselves. And that's why this idea matters. It reminds us that the world is our greatest teacher, and our truest wisdom often comes from the quiet, powerful journey of doing and becoming. Have you ever stopped to think about how much words really matter? Not just what they mean, but how they actually change what we see and feel. There was a philosopher named Ludwig Wittgenstein, and he had a deep idea about this. He didn't just think words were labels we put on things. Instead, he believed that the language we use actually builds our world. It shapes how we think, how we understand things, and even what we can understand at all. It's like our words give us the very tools to see and explain reality. Wittgenstein was a really smart guy who lived a long time ago in the early 1900s. He spent his whole life trying to figure out how language works. He looked at it from every angle. He realized that our language isn't just a way to describe the world, but it is our world in a way. If we don't have a word for something, it's much harder to even imagine it or talk about it. Think about emotions. We have words like happy, sad, angry, frustrated. But imagine if you didn't have a word for frustrated. You might feel a mix of anger and confusion, but without that specific word, it would be harder to really pin down and share that exact feeling. Or think about colors. Different cultures sometimes have fewer or more words for shades of blue or green. And because they have those specific words, they might actually see those differences more clearly than someone who doesn't. So the words help them notice and define parts of their world. So the words we use and the words we learn are powerful. They don't just explain our reality, they help create it. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What new worlds could we see if we just learn new ways to talk about them? It's a quiet thought, but a big one. Our language is like a lens, and it shows us what's real. Have you ever really stopped, and truly felt yourself being in this moment? Not just thinking or doing, but simply existing? A philosopher named Martin Heidegger spent his life digging deep into this very question. What does it mean for us to be here right now? Heidegger, a German thinker from the 20th century, didn't see people as just objects, like a chair. He said we have a unique way of existing. He called it Dasein, a German word that basically means being there. It's about how we aren't just present, but we're aware of our own presence, our existence, and our future. Think about it. You know you're alive, you have a past, and there's a future waiting. That awareness shapes everything. Heidegger pointed out that we're all thrown into this world. We didn't ask to be born, we just are. But once here, we get to choose how we live. Do we just float along, doing what others do, without really thinking? Or do we pay attention to our own lives, making our own choices, truly being ourselves? This is what he called authentic existence. Imagine you're listening to your favorite song. Are you truly listening, feeling the music, letting it move you? Or are you just hearing noise while your mind wanders elsewhere? When you're really in the moment with that song, feeling it, that's a glimpse of what Heidegger was talking about. It's about being fully present, engaged with your own existence, instead of just going through the motions. So, what does this mean for us? It's a quiet invitation to pay attention, to notice the air you breathe, the ground beneath your feet, the sound of a friend's laugh. It's about remembering every moment we have is ours, and how we choose to be in it truly matters. It makes us think about how precious and unique our own experience of being alive truly is. Have you ever really stopped to think about how much power you hold over your own life? What if every single choice you make, from what you eat for breakfast to how you treat a friend, isn't just a small decision, but a powerful stroke on the canvas of who you are becoming? This deep and sometimes heavy idea comes from a French thinker named Jean-Paul Sartre. He lived during really tough times, like around World War II, when people were searching for meaning and purpose in a world that felt chaotic and broken. Sartre's main idea was simple but profound. Unlike a chair that's made for sitting or a tool designed for a specific job, humans are born without a preset purpose or fixed nature. He believed we exist first, just are, and then we create our own purpose through the choices we make. He famously said, "Existence precedes essence." This means you're not born brave or kind or lazy. Instead, you become those things through the brave actions you choose to take, the kind words you choose to speak, or even the lazy habits you choose to keep. Here's the thing about this freedom, because there's no one telling you what to do, no blueprint for you. You are completely responsible for every choice. And that can feel like a heavy weight of burden of freedom. Imagine you're an artist standing in front of a giant blank canvas. You have all the brushes and paints, and every single mark you make is entirely up to you. There's no one else to blame or thank for the final picture. If you decide to study hard for a test, you're choosing to be someone who values learning. If you choose to stand up for someone, you're becoming a person of courage. So, while this total freedom might feel a bit scary or overwhelming at first, it also holds an incredible power. It means you are never truly stuck. You get to decide moment by moment what kind of person you want to be. And that in itself is a beautiful, challenging, and deeply human truth. It calls on you to bravely own your path. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, at all those countless stars, and felt really, really small? Like, what's the point of anything when the universe is so huge? That feeling, that moment when you wonder why we're even here, that's a question many thinkers have explored. One of them was Albert Camus. Here's the thing about Camus. He thought life doesn't come with a pre-written purpose. It's not like a video game with a clear mission objective from the start. He called this idea the absurd. It's not about life being meaningless, but about the clash between our deep desire to find meaning and the silent, indifferent universe that just isn't giving us one. We want answers, but the universe just offers more questions. Camus lived a while ago, after big wars, when people felt their old beliefs had been shaken up. They were looking for something solid to hold on to. He wrote about people feeling lost and searching for their place. And so he thought about this absurd feeling a lot. Think about building a detailed sandcastle at the beach. You spend hours adding turrets and moats. You know the tide will eventually wash it away. It's temporary. But does that make building it pointless of number? You enjoy the process, the creativity, making something cool, even if it won't last forever. The joy is in the making. Camus believed that even though life might feel like that sandcastle, temporary and without a grand built-in purpose, we can still choose to live fully. We can create our own meaning. It's about accepting that uncertainty, but then deciding to live passionately anyway. It's about finding courage and joy in the small moments, in our choices, in simply being here and experiencing things. Meaning isn't found in a grand answer, but in how we bravely choose to live each day, full of life, even when things are puzzling. Have you ever really stopped to wonder who decides what counts as true? Or why some ideas get celebrated in history books while others just vanish? It's a quiet question, but a powerful one. A deep thinker from France, Michel Foucault, explored just this. He had an important idea, that power isn't just about kings or armies. It's also wrapped up in what we know, what we believe, and even the very words we use to describe our world. Foucault suggested that knowledge and power are like two sides of the same whisper. What we believe is, truth isn't always just found out there, waiting. Often is shaped, even built, by people or groups who hold influence, sometimes without us even realizing it. Think about this. When you're in school, who decided what subjects are most important? Who chose which historical events go into the textbooks? The answers aren't random. They quietly show what certain people value, what they think is normal, or what they believe is correct. When these ideas become widely accepted, they help keep things as they are, making one view seem like the only way. This is how power works, not with a loud command, but with a gentle guiding hand. For hundreds of years, societies created places like schools and hospitals. Foucault looked closely at these systems. He saw how they didn't just organize people. They shaped our ideas about what healthy means, or sick, or right or wrong. Consider popular trends, like a social media challenge. Who decides it's cool? Often, it starts with a few people. And as more join, that idea gains a quiet power, shaping what many believe is desirable. So, here's the thing. The stories we're told, the things we learn, the language we speak, they all carry silent echoes of power. To truly see these hidden chains isn't about feeling trapped. Instead, it's about becoming truly awake. It means understanding our minds are vast, and we can gently question the quiet boundaries others might set. It means trusting our own curiosity, listening to our inner voice, and thinking deeply about the world we live in. Have you ever stopped to think about what a word really means? Not just a dictionary definition, but its deepest sense? We often think words have one fixed meaning, like a solid rock. But what if their meanings are always shifting, like sand in the wind? There was a French philosopher named Jacques Derrida. He was from the last century. He had a very interesting way of looking at language and ideas. He believed that to truly understand a word or an idea, you had to deconstruct it. Think of it like taking apart an old toy to see how it works. You're not trying to break it. You're trying to see all the tiny pieces, how they fit, and what makes it work. Derrida did this with words and big ideas. He argued that when we use words, we often assume things without realizing it. We might think there's one clear meaning, but he showed how every word connects to others, to history, and to hidden assumptions. He wasn't saying words were meaningless. Instead, he argued their meanings were complex, with many layers. He wanted us to see the hidden paths within language. For example, imagine you read a story about a hero. We instantly have an image in our minds. But what if the story later shows this hero doing something questionable? Derrida would say the word hero itself isn't fixed. Its meaning depends on the rest of the story, our own ideas, and what society generally thinks a hero is. A single word can mean many things, depending on who uses it and how. So Derrida taught us to be curious about language. He wanted us to look beyond the surface, to question what seems clear, and to understand that how we see words, and even the world, can always change. It's about seeing the many layers, and accepting that there's always more to uncover. Have you ever wondered who you truly are? Not just the name people call you, or the role your family gives you, but the real, unique you? Simone de Beauvoir, a brilliant French thinker, made us ask this question. She lived when the world was recovering from big wars. People felt lost, searching for meaning. This was the time of existentialism. That's a big word. It just means we are free. And because we are free, we are responsible for who we become. Here's the thing. Simone de Beauvoir believed we aren't born with a fixed self. Instead, we become ourselves through every choice we make, every action we take, every dream we chase. Think about building a house. You don't get a finished house. You pick the bricks, you lay the foundation, you decide the colors. Each decision shapes the final home. Sometimes, society tries to tell us who we should be. Maybe it's about jobs, clothes, or hobbies. But Simone de Beauvoir challenged us to look past all that. She said, imagine you're trying out for a school play. Your friends want you to try a comedy, but your heart truly wants to audition for a serious drama. Choosing that drama, even if it's harder, that's you actively building who you are. It's a powerful idea and a little scary. If we are always becoming, then we are always in charge. There's no one else to blame for not being who you want to be. But here's what's beautiful. You have the amazing power to shape your own story. Every day is a chance to add a new brick to the unique structure of yourself. You create someone truly authentic and free. It's a quiet journey made of small, meaningful choices, leading you closer to the person you are meant to be. Have you ever looked at a really smart computer, maybe one that plays chess or answers your questions, and wondered, can it actually think? It's a deep question, one that makes us wonder what thinking even means for us. Is it just following rules? Or is it something more like feeling, dreaming, or truly understanding? Here's the thing. This isn't a new idea. Long ago, during a time of great conflict, a brilliant mind named Alan Turing asked this very question. He was a mathematician who helped crack secret codes in World War II, using some of the earliest computers, but he didn't just care about crunching numbers. He wondered if these machines eventually could have a mind like ours. Turing imagined a kind of test. Imagine you're texting with someone, but you don't know if it's a person or a computer on the other end. If you couldn't tell the difference, if the computer talked and reasoned so much like a human that you were fooled, then maybe, just maybe, that machine was thinking. It's like talking to a chatbot online. Sometimes they sound so real you pause and wonder, do they feel what they're saying, or are they just expertly arranged words? This isn't about robots taking over, but about what makes us us. When a machine creates a song, does it feel the music? When it solves a hard problem, does it understand the joy of discovery? These questions aren't just for scientists. They're for all of us, inviting us to look closer at what it means to be alive, to have a mind, and to dream. And that's why it matters. Asking helps us understand ourselves better too. Have you ever really thought about the quiet magic in the words we use? Not just what they mean, but how they land, how they change things. A famous thinker named Noam Chomsky invited us to look at language in a totally new way. He suggested that talking isn't just about copying sounds or memorizing rules. Instead, he believed our minds have a built-in, amazing ability to create language. It's like we're born with a special blueprint for putting thoughts into words. Before Chomsky, many thought we just learn words by hearing them, but he showed us we're more like natural architects of meaning. We don't just repeat, we build new sentences and ideas constantly. This means the way we structure our thoughts, the very bones of our sentences, shapes how we understand the world. It's not just what we say, but how we say it, and how those patterns influence our reality. Here's the thing. Think about a time someone said something unkind to you. Those words, even after they were spoken, probably stuck with you, right? They might have made you feel small or sad. And on the flip side, remember when a friend told you, "You did great"? Those simple words could make you feel strong, maybe even change your whole day. That's the power in action. Our words aren't just sounds. They carry weight. They can build us up, or they can tear us down. So, when you speak, remember that your words are more than just air vibrations. They are quiet acts of creation. They can paint a picture of hope, share a gentle truth, or mend a broken connection. They shape your inner world, and they touch the world around you. Understanding this helps us see the deep responsibility we hold with every single word. It's a quiet power that weaves the fabric of our lives, one thread of language at a time. Have you ever looked up at the endless night sky and wondered what secrets it holds? What stories are whispered across the light years? Or felt a quiet pull, a curiosity about everything beyond our earth, beyond what we can touch and see? Stephen Hawking was a person who felt that pull stronger than most. He became famous for exploring the universe's biggest questions, even though his body was limited by a serious illness. He couldn't travel to distant galaxies, but his mind soared there, moving through theories and ideas, seeing things most of us can only dream about. Hawking's glimpse beyond wasn't about looking through a telescope in a new way or simply finding new stars. It was about thinking, truly thinking, about space and time, about black holes, and the very beginning of everything. Imagine trying to understand a massive, complicated puzzle with a million pieces, but you can only see a small corner of it, or perhaps you can't even move the pieces yourself. Hawking was like a brilliant detective for the universe, using math and deep thought to piece together clues about how the cosmos worked. He showed us how our universe might have started from almost nothing and what its future could hold, exploring possibilities based on the complex, beautiful laws of physics. His work, often about things like the Big Bang and the mysterious ways black holes behave, gave us new ways to think about existence itself. He showed us that even if our bodies are still, our minds can journey to the furthest reaches of space and time, breaking through barriers that seem impossible. It's a powerful idea, isn't it? That human curiosity, even against incredible challenges, can unlock amazing insights. His life reminds us that the truest explorations aren't always about rockets and spaceships, but about the boundless courage of the human mind to wonder, to question, and to seek beauty and truth in the vast, beautiful unknown. Have you ever stopped to wonder, truly wonder, about the tiny, quiet pulses inside a computer? The way it seems to think, following invisible rules to solve problems? Long before our smartphones or speedy laptops, a brilliant mind named Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz dreamed of such things. He lived hundreds of years ago, a philosopher who saw the world not just as messy and unpredictable, but as something built on deep, logical patterns. Leibniz believed that much of life, even complex arguments, could be broken down into simple, logical steps. He imagined a world where disagreements weren't settled by shouting, but by saying, "Let us calculate." And here's the thing. He didn't just imagine it. He actually designed and built mechanical calculators, machines that could add, subtract, multiply, and divide automatically. Think of it like this. If you have a simple calculator today, or even a game that makes choices based on if this, then that rules, you're seeing a tiny echo of Leibniz's grand vision. His machines were physical representations of pure logic, gears, and levers performing what felt like thought. This wasn't just about making math easier. For Leibniz, these thinking machines were a way to understand the very fabric of reality. He saw the universe itself as a kind of perfect, logical machine created by God. If we could build small machines that could process logic, perhaps we could, in a small way, grasp the grand design, the future pathways laid out by universal rules. It was a deep, quiet hope that through understanding the mechanics of thought, we could almost predict the unfolding of knowledge or even the future itself. It makes you think about how our oldest ideas can still whisper to us from across time, shaping the world we build today. Have you ever stopped to wonder, truly wonder, where your thoughts come from, where your ideas, your very personality, first began? It's a question that has puzzled thinkers for centuries. One philosopher, John Locke, who lived a long time ago in England, had a powerful idea. He imagined that when we are born, our minds are like a brand new, unused piece of paper. Not just empty, but completely empty. No drawings, no scribbles, no words already written there. He called this idea tabula rasa, which is Latin for blank slate. It meant that when we arrive in the world, no pre-written stories or knowledge are inside us. Before Locke, some believed we were born with certain ideas already wired into us. But Locke looked at babies and young children and saw something else. He said, number. He believed everything we come to know, every feeling, every memory, comes from our experiences in the world. It's what we see, hear, touch, taste, and smell that writes on our blank slate. This was a huge shift in thinking back in the 1600s. Think of a brand new empty notebook you get for school. It has no notes, no drawings on its pages. Every day you go to class, every time you learn something new, a math problem, a fact about history, a poem, you write it down. That information slowly fills the pages. Over time, that notebook becomes uniquely yours, filled with your learning, your memories, and your unique experiences. So, here's the thing. If our minds truly start out blank, it means our entire journey through life, the people we meet, the places we explore, the challenges we overcome, these are the things that actively shape us. We are always learning, always being written upon by the world around us and by our own choices. And that's pretty powerful, isn't it? It suggests that our future, our very selves, are not set in stone from birth, but are always in the process of being beautifully and uniquely created. Have you ever stopped to wonder, really wonder, what a truly fair world would look like? Not just a world where rules exist, but a world where every person has a real chance to thrive, no matter where they start? It's a question philosophers have deeply pondered, but one American thinker, John Rawls, offered a way to think about justice that still echoes powerfully today. Here's the thing. Rawls imagined a fascinating idea he called the veil of ignorance. Picture this. You're part of a group creating all the rules for a brand new society. You decide everything, how wealth is shared, what rights people have, how schools work, but there's a catch. You don't know who you will be in this new society. You won't know if you'll be rich or poor, smart or struggling, healthy or sick, male or female. You won't know your family, talents, or dreams. It's like designing a video game but not knowing which character you'll play. You could be the hero or just a background character. So, if you didn't know your place, what rules would you make? Rawls believed that behind this veil, people would naturally choose rules that are fair for everyone. Why? Because you wouldn't risk being at the very bottom of a harsh system. You'd want basic rights, good education, and healthcare available to all, in case you needed them most. You'd make sure society helped those who needed it, knowing it could be you. This isn't about charity, but about making sure society's very structure supports everyone. It's a way to design a world from a place of pure fairness. And that's why it matters. Thinking this way helps us see beyond our own situations to build communities where the well-being of the most vulnerable is the very foundation of justice. It challenges us to imagine a world not just as it is, but as it could be, if we truly valued fairness for all. Have you ever truly thought about how we figure things out? Do we simply believe what we are told, especially if it comes from a very old book or a respected person? Or do we learn by looking closely at the world ourselves, by touching, testing, and seeing what actually happens? For a long, long time, people mostly learned by reading ancient writings. They believed that old wisdom held nearly all the answers, and questioning it felt almost wrong. But then came Francis Bacon, a thoughtful writer from England in the 1600s, who quietly offered a different path. Bacon's big idea was really simple, but it changed everything about how we understand truth. He suggested that instead of just reading old texts and taking their word for it, we should observe the world directly. We should experiment. Think of it like this. If you want to know if leaving bread out makes mold grow faster, you don't just look up what an ancient philosopher said about bread. Bacon would say, try it. Put a slice in a warm, moist place and another in a cool, dry place. Watch what happens. Gather your own facts, and then decide. This way of thinking, actively watching and testing, is what we now call the scientific method. This was a truly huge shift. It meant moving away from just trusting what authorities had written centuries ago, and instead trusting what our own careful observations and tests could show us. It wasn't about saying old knowledge was bad, but about saying, let's check this against the living world. It gently opened up a world where our own curiosity could lead us. Understanding wasn't just hidden in dusty libraries anymore. It was everywhere, in every leaf, every drop of water, waiting for us to really see it. This quiet yet powerful change in how we look for truth shaped the whole modern world, making discovery a journey we all can take, where our own eyes become the most valuable tools. Have you ever looked at a vast forest, or watched the ocean waves endlessly moving, and felt something truly grand? Like there's a quiet, perfect order to it all, a deep rhythm that connects everything. It's a feeling many of us have had, a sense of something bigger than ourselves in the natural world. Now, imagine a thinker named Baruch Spinoza from the 1600s. He had a really powerful idea about this feeling. He believed that God wasn't some separate person up in the clouds, watching us from afar. Instead, Spinoza said that God is everything, not just in everything, but the very essence of the universe itself. The plants, the animals, the stars, the rules of science, even our thoughts, it's all one huge connected divine being. He even called it God or nature, meaning they were the same thing. For him, every single event, every cause and effect was part of this perfect, natural unfolding. This was a really bold idea back then, and it got him into a lot of trouble. Most people believed in a God who created the world and then sometimes stepped in to perform miracles. But Spinoza suggested that the universe itself, in all its laws and beauty, was the divine miracle. Think about how a giant tree grows from a tiny seed, or how water cycles from the ocean to the sky and back to the rivers. Every part relies on another, working together in a flawless system. There's no wasted motion, just endless, perfect connections. Spinoza would say this incredible balance, this never-ending flow of cause and effect, is what divinity looks like. It's not some hidden magic, but the deep, truthful way the world works right in front of us. So, the next time you feel the sun on your skin or watch a spider spin its delicate web, pause for a moment. What if finding meaning isn't about looking beyond the world, but truly seeing the incredible interconnected life right here? It's a way to find beauty and purpose in everything, from the smallest leaf to the vast, open sky. Have you ever stopped to wonder what really makes you decide things? Is it always just logic, a step-by-step thinking process, like solving a math problem? David Hume, a really smart thinker from a long time ago, had a surprising idea about this. He believed that what makes us truly human isn't just our brains full of facts and figures. It's also our hearts full of feelings. He wanted them to look at their own world and ask, could we do better? And that's why his utopia still matters. It reminds us that even when life feels messy or unfair, we can always imagine something better. We can hold on to the hope of a world where kindness leads and where everyone belongs. Maybe a perfect world is just a dream, but the act of dreaming it, of reaching for it, can make our real world a little bit more hopeful. Have you ever just stopped, completely still, and truly listened? Not to music or talking, but to the quiet hum of the world around you? What can silence teach us about things we can't always see or hear directly? Long ago, in ancient Greece, lived a thinker named Pythagoras. He's famous for that triangle math in geometry class. But he believed in something much bigger than just shapes. Here's the thing. Pythagoras thought everything in the universe, from the spinning stars to the notes in a song, was built on numbers. Not just numbers for counting, but hidden patterns and relationships. He called it the harmony of numbers. He believed that if you could truly understand these number patterns, you could understand the whole world. But here's the interesting part. Pythagoras also believed that to truly grasp this deep harmony, you had to practice silence. His students sometimes had to stay quiet for years, just listening, observing, and thinking. It wasn't about being shy. It was about clearing your mind so you could hear the subtle truths the universe was whispering. It was like tuning your inner ear to the universe's secret song, a song only heard in stillness. Think about music for a moment. Why do certain notes sound so good together, like a perfect chord? Pythagoras discovered it was all about simple number ratios. If you pluck a guitar string and then press it exactly halfway and pluck again, you get a higher note that sounds perfectly in tune. That's an octave. It's math, but it's also beauty and a feeling of rightness. It shows how numbers aren't just symbols. They are the very rhythm of how things work and feel. So, what does this tell us? Maybe the deepest wisdom isn't found in loud debates or constant noise. Maybe it's in the quiet moments when we truly listen to what's around us and what's inside us. Just like Pythagoras, we can find amazing patterns and harmony when we allow ourselves to be still. And that's why it matters. Sometimes the greatest insights come from listening to the silence. Have you ever stopped to think about how much changes around you, even in just a single day? The sky looks different in the morning than in the afternoon. The music you liked last year might not be your favorite now. Even you yourself aren't exactly the same person you were yesterday. Your cells are always renewing. Your mind is always learning. It's like everything is always moving, flowing, even when it seems still. This idea that everything is always changing was a really big thought for an ancient Greek philosopher named Heraclitus. He lived a very long time ago, around 500 BC. He's famous for saying, "You can never step into the same river twice." Think about that for a moment. When you step into a river, the water around your feet is constantly flowing past. If you step out and then step back in a moment later, it's new water. The river might look the same from the outside, but it's always made of fresh, moving water. Heraclitus believed this wasn't just true for rivers, but for everything in the world, including us. Life isn't a solid, unchanging thing. It's a constant flow. Just like the river, your own life is always bringing new experiences, new feelings, new lessons. Your body is always growing. Your thoughts are always shifting. Every moment is unique and will never happen again. It can feel a little strange to think about, maybe even a little sad, that things are always passing. But Heraclitus saw beauty in it. He understood that change isn't something to fight, but something to accept. It's how life truly works. This constant flow means there's always a chance for something new, a new beginning, a new you. So, maybe the secret is to just flow with it, like water in a river, always moving forward. Have you ever wondered why certain stories stay with us across time and cultures? Think about the heroes, the challenges they face. Why do we keep telling these tales? From ancient myths to today's blockbuster movies. Joseph Campbell, a brilliant thinker, spent his life trying to figure this out. Here's the thing. Campbell didn't just study individual stories. He looked at thousands of them from all over the world. Old Greek myths, tales from ancient Egypt, and legends from faraway lands. What he found was amazing. He noticed that many of these different stories actually follow a similar path. He called this common pattern the hero's journey. This journey isn't just about a brave knight fighting a dragon. It's a deeper pattern about life itself. It shows a character starting in their ordinary world, getting called to an adventure, facing big challenges, meeting wise helpers, and finally coming home changed. It's like the character goes through a transformation. For example, think about Luke Skywalker in Star Wars. He starts as a simple farm boy, gets pulled into a huge galaxy conflict, faces Darth Vader, and eventually becomes a Jedi Knight. His journey mirrors patterns found in stories thousands of years old. So, why does this matter to us? These old stories weren't just for fun. For ancient people, they were like maps for life. They helped explain the world, teach courage, and show how to deal with tough times. When we recognize these same patterns in our own lives, like when we face a new challenge at school or try something scary for the first time, it connects us. It reminds us that our personal struggles and triumphs are part of something much bigger, a shared human experience. It tells us that we're all on our own hero's journey, and because of that, we are never truly alone. The stories from the past still speak to us, guiding us, showing us what it means to be human. Why we laugh. Henri Bergson's Look at Comedy. Have you ever stopped to truly wonder why we laugh? It's a strange, sudden thing, isn't it? A burst of sound, a ripple of joy, sometimes even tears. But what really triggers that feeling? That deep down chuckle or even a loud guffaw? A long time ago, a thoughtful French philosopher named Henri Bergson spent a lot of time thinking about this very question. He wasn't just guessing. He believed that laughter often comes from seeing something alive, something human, suddenly act like a machine. Imagine a person who is supposed to be free and graceful, but instead, they become stiff or automatic, like a puppet whose strings are tangled, or a robot trying to do something complex. Think about someone slipping on a banana peel. It's a classic, right? They're walking along, a human being, in control. Then, suddenly, their legs go out from under them. For a split second, their body becomes rigid, moving in a mechanical, unexpected way. That moment of unexpected stiffness, a person acting like a faulty mechanism, is exactly what Bergson suggested makes us laugh. Their human grace is lost for a moment, replaced by something clumsy and automatic. For Bergson, laughter wasn't just random fun. He thought it was like a little signal from society itself. It's a gentle, unspoken way of telling us, hey, loosen up, be more flexible, be more present, be more human. When we see someone being too rigid, too automatic, or perhaps not paying enough attention, our laughter is like a gentle nudge. It's a soft whisper to get them back in sync with the natural flowing rhythm of life. So, laughter isn't just a sudden sound. It's a quiet wisdom, isn't it? It's a reminder that life calls for a kind of dance, not a march. It nudges us to be open, to adapt, to let go of our own little stiffnesses and not let life's routines make us rigid. This French thinker saw laughter as a social gesture, a gentle whisper urging us to stay connected, to be truly present and free. It's a beautiful, everyday lesson, helping us find grace and flexibility in our journey through the world. It reminds us that being fully human means being fluid, able to bend and flow, not trapped in an unthinking pattern. And that's why sometimes the deepest lessons can come wrapped in a giggle or a guffaw. Have you ever just looked at something, maybe a grain of sand or a single drop of water, and truly wondered, what is it really made of? What's the very smallest piece of it? We often see the world as big, solid things, but what if everything, even you and me, is built from something much, much smaller? Long, long ago in ancient Greece, a thinker named Democritus asked this very question. He didn't have powerful microscopes or modern labs. He just had his mind, his senses, and a quiet determination to understand. And he came up with an idea that still feels amazing today, thousands of years later. Democritus believed that everything in the world, everything we see, touch, and feel, is made of tiny, tiny pieces that could not be cut any smaller. He called these pieces atomos, which means uncuttable in Greek. Think of them as the ultimate unbreakable building blocks of the universe. Imagine a giant Lego structure you've built. You can take it apart, brick by brick, right? But eventually, you get to the individual Lego bricks themselves. You can't break those bricks into smaller pieces and still have a functional Lego part. Democritus thought atoms were like those original, unbreakdownable bricks of the universe. They were always moving, always combining in different ways to make everything around us. This was a huge idea for his time. Before him, people often thought things were made of just 4 basic elements: earth, air, fire, and water. But Democritus saw beyond that. He imagined a world where even seemingly solid things were mostly empty space, with these little atoms zipping around, creating all the diversity we see. It's truly amazing to think about someone so long ago, just using pure thought, glimpsing a truth that science would only confirm thousands of years later. His idea wasn't just about what things are made of. It was about seeing the deep, hidden order behind all the chaos and beauty of the world. It was about understanding that even the biggest mountains and the smallest dewdrops share a common, fundamental beginning built from the very same invisible particles. And that's why it matters. It teaches us that sometimes the most profound answers are found by looking not just at what's big and obvious, but by quietly wondering about the tiny, unseen pieces that hold everything together. It shows us the powerful journey of a single human mind reaching across time to touch ours, making us feel connected to ideas from long, long ago. Have you ever stopped to wonder, really wonder, where your thoughts come from? Not just the random ones, but the deep ideas, the feelings, the very colors and sounds you imagine. It's like there's this whole universe inside you, buzzing with life. But how did it get there? For a long time, people believed we were born with some ideas already in our minds, like preloaded software. But then, a philosopher named John Locke, who lived a long time ago in the 1600s, had a different thought. He looked at the mind and said, what if it's not like that at all? He suggested that when we're born, our minds are more like a blank page or an empty room. He called it a tabula rasa, which is a fancy Latin phrase for a blank slate. Here's the thing. According to Locke, everything we know, every single idea, feeling, and understanding comes from our experiences. Think about learning to ride a bike. You weren't born knowing how to balance or pedal. You had to feel the wind, maybe fall a few times, push with your feet. Your senses, seeing the road, hearing the whir of the wheels, feeling the handlebar saw, these experiences wrote on your mind's blank page. And that's how you built the idea of bike riding inside your head. So, for Locke, our inner world isn't given to us fully formed. It's built bit by bit from every moment we live. Every taste, every touch, every conversation, every feeling you have, they're all brushstrokes on the canvas of your mind. It means we are constantly becoming, always adding to the rich collection of what makes us, us. Our minds are not just storage. They are active creators shaped by the world around us and the unique journey of our own lives. It's a quiet reminder that every experience, no matter how small, adds a new piece to the beautiful puzzle of who you are. Have you ever thought about how two people can look at the same thing and see something completely different? It happens all the time. Maybe you love a song, but your friend just doesn't get it. Or you find a movie hilarious and someone else finds it boring. What if, in those moments, both of you are right? This idea brings us to Protagoras, an ancient Greek thinker from thousands of years ago. He had a really interesting, and some might say challenging idea. He's famous for saying, man is the measure of all things. What he meant was, for each of us, what we feel, what we sense, what we believe, that's our personal truth. It's like truth isn't one solid, unmoving thing for everyone on earth. This way of thinking is called relativism. It's the idea that truth, or even what's right or wrong, isn't absolute. It isn't fixed in stone for everyone, everywhere. Instead, it changes based on the person, or even the group. So, if I feel cold standing in a room, my truth is that it's cold. But if you feel warm in the exact same room, your truth is that it's warm. And for Protagoras, both are equally true for the people experiencing them. Here's an everyday example. Imagine you taste a new dish. You might think it's delicious and perfectly spiced, but your friend might find it too spicy and not enjoy it at all. Is one of you wrong? Protagoras would say no. Your taste buds are your measure. Your friend's taste buds are their measure. Both experiences are real and true for each person. This thought can feel a little unsettling. If there's no single universal truth, how do we ever agree on anything? But here's the thing. It also invites us to be more open. It asks us to truly listen to others, to try and see the world through their eyes, even if it's different from our own. It reminds us that reality might be more colorful and varied than we first thought, depending on who is looking. And maybe, in that understanding of different truths, we find a deeper kind of peace. Have you ever wondered what it truly means to live a good life? Not just a life that feels fun or easy, but one that feels deeply right and full of meaning? Over 2,000 years ago, the Greek philosopher Aristotle thought a lot about this very question. He wasn't talking about feeling happy for a moment, like a favorite snack. He was talking about something bigger, a lasting well-being he called eudaimonia. That's a Greek word, and it just means human flourishing or living well. Aristotle believed a good life isn't something that just happens to you. It's something you build. Think about a great musician or an excellent athlete. They don't become great by just wishing for it. They practice their scales, learn new pieces, and work hard every day. They get better by doing the things that make them good at their craft. In the same way, Aristotle said humans have a special purpose, to use our reason and our best qualities. When we do this consistently, we don't just feel good. We are good. We are flourishing. Here's an example. Imagine a plant. It flourishes when it gets enough sunlight, water, and good soil. It grows strong, blooms beautiful flowers. It's doing what a plant is meant to do. For us, Aristotle believed our sunlight and water are virtues. Things like kindness, courage, honesty, and wisdom. When we act with these virtues, making good choices often, we build good habits. These habits become part of who we are. It's like building a strong muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And the stronger your good habits are, the more truly happy and fulfilled you become. This quiet, deep happiness comes from living your purpose and being your best self day by day. A good life isn't about quick fun, but about growing into the person you were meant to be. Have you ever stopped to wonder how we decide what's true? How do we untangle a complicated problem or figure out the best way forward when life feels like a maze? This quiet skill, this gentle guide for our minds, is what we call logic. Logic is like a special path for our thoughts. It's a way of thinking that builds ideas step by step, making sure each piece fits perfectly with the next. Imagine you're trying to build a tower with blocks. If you just stack them randomly, it might fall. But if you think about the base, and how each block needs to support the one above it, your tower stands strong. Logic helps us build strong, reliable thoughts. It's about careful reasoning, moving from what we know to what we can discover. Long ago, thinkers like the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle spent a lot of time pondering this. They believed that learning to think logically was the key to understanding the world and finding real wisdom. They wanted to make sure their ideas weren't just feelings or guesses, but solid truths that everyone could agree on, because they were built on sound reasoning. Think about solving a simple puzzle, like figuring out why your computer isn't turning on. You might logically check the power cord first. If that's plugged in, you might check the outlet. You're not guessing randomly. You're using a process to rule out possibilities step by step until you find the answer. This is logic at work in your everyday life. So, logic is more than just a school subject. It's a powerful tool deep inside us. It helps us make sense of the world, understand our own feelings, and make clearer choices. It helps us see the quiet connections between things, allowing us to find our way one thoughtful step at a time. It lets us touch a deeper kind of truth. What if everything we needed to do, from cleaning our rooms to cooking our dinner, was just done? No effort from us? This isn't just a modern daydream. Thousands of years ago, a very wise Greek thinker named Aristotle imagined a world like this. He wondered, if tools could somehow do their own work without a human hand to guide them, would we still need people to work all the time? He talked about things like shuttles weaving by themselves or lyres playing music on their own. He was picturing what we now call automation or robots. For Aristotle, this wasn't about building actual robots, because that technology didn't exist then. Instead, it was a thought experiment. He was thinking deeply about what makes a society fair and just. He saw that back then, much of the hard, repetitive work was done by enslaved people. He believed that if machines could take over these tasks, it would free up humans to do more important things, like thinking, creating, learning, and participating in their communities. He imagined a future where nobody had to do soul-crushing labor, because clever tools handled it all. Think about your phone or a smart speaker. You ask it to play a song or set an alarm or find an answer, and it just does it. Or a robot vacuum cleaner gliding around your house, cleaning without you pushing it. These simple machines free up a tiny bit of your time. Aristotle was imagining this on a much grander scale for all society. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? If machines did most of our work, what would we do with all that time? Would we become artists, scientists, explorers, or would we simply lose our purpose? Perhaps the deepest part of his idea isn't about the machines themselves, but about what it means to be human when we are truly free to choose our path. It's a quiet question, waiting for our answer. Have you ever felt completely sure about something, only to find out later it wasn't quite true? Maybe a trick your eyes played, or a story you misheard that seemed so real? Imagine that feeling, but on a much grander scale. Centuries ago, a deep-thinking philosopher named René Descartes wrestled with this very idea. He looked at the world and wondered, truly wondered, what if everything I believe is a trick? What if my senses are lying to me? What if I'm just dreaming right now and all of this isn't real at all? This was a bold and unsettling question for his time, the 1600s, an era when many ancient ideas were starting to be questioned. Descartes didn't set out to be confused or to tear down beliefs just for fun. No, he doubted because he yearned to find something, anything at all, that he could know with absolute, unwavering certainty. He longed for a truth so strong it could never be shaken, a foundation for all knowledge. Think of it like building the tallest possible tower. You can't just pile blocks randomly. You need the very bottom block to be perfectly solid, perfectly still, or the whole thing will eventually crumble. Descartes wanted to find that first, most reliable block of understanding. After carefully questioning almost every single thing he thought he knew, he finally found one amazing truth he couldn't doubt, the very act of doubting itself. If he was doubting, he had to be thinking. And if he was thinking, then he, the thinker, had to exist. This led to his famous profound statement, "I think, therefore I am." This simple idea, that our own thoughts confirm our existence, is incredibly powerful. It teaches us that sometimes the wisest path toward genuine understanding isn't about accepting everything we're told. Instead, it's about having the courage to gently question, to wonder, and to reflect deeply. Because in that thoughtful pause, in that quiet moment of honest questioning, we might just uncover a deeper, truer ground for what we truly believe about the world and ourselves. His wisdom wasn't about predicting a specific future event, but about showing us how to approach any future, any new idea, with careful, curious thought and an open, questioning heart. Have you ever felt stuck, like things were happening to you and you couldn't do anything about it, maybe a bad grade, or a friend said something unkind, or your plans got totally messed up by something you couldn't control, it's a heavy feeling, isn't it? But what if much of our peace, and even our purpose, comes from understanding what we can control and what we simply can't? Here's the thing. Centuries ago, a philosopher named Epictetus taught something profound about this. He was a former slave in ancient Rome, which makes his ideas about freedom and power even more powerful. He wasn't talking about outer freedom, but something inside us. He believed that while we can't control what happens to us, like the weather or other people's actions, or even our own bodies sometimes, we absolutely control our response to these things. This is the power of choice. Think about it like this. Imagine you're working really hard on a group project, and then one of your teammates doesn't do their part. You can't force them to change. You can't make the situation instantly better, but you can choose how you react. Do you get totally upset and let it ruin your day? Or do you calmly figure out what you can do, like talking to the teacher or working with another teammate? That inner choice, that's your real power. It's about deciding not to be tossed around by everything outside of you, and that's why it matters. Choosing our reactions gives us back control, no matter how chaotic the world around us feels. It means living with a deep sense of purpose, because we understand that our true strength isn't in what happens, but in how we choose to be. Moment by moment, it helps us build a quiet, steady strength inside, making us the authors of our own lives, even through hard times. Have you ever looked at something beautiful, like a perfect sunset or a kind act, and felt like you were seeing just a hint of something even grander? What if the truly perfect versions of things, like perfect beauty, perfect justice, or even a perfect circle, don't actually live in our everyday world, but exist somewhere else entirely? This is a question the ancient Greek philosopher Plato pondered deeply over 2,000 years ago. He believed that the world we see around us with our eyes, the one we touch and hear, is actually just a pale copy. He imagined a different, invisible realm, a world of forms. In this world, everything exists in its most perfect, unchanging version. Think of it like a master blueprint for everything we encounter. So when you see many different tables in your house or at school, Plato would say none of them are truly perfect tables. They are all just imperfect copies of the one perfect, ideal form of table that exists in that other realm. Our senses can sometimes trick us, and the things we experience are always changing, but the forms themselves are timeless and constant. Consider a simple circle. You can draw a circle on paper, maybe even use a compass, but no matter how carefully you draw it, it will never be a truly perfect circle. It might have a tiny bump, or the line might not be perfectly smooth, yet in your mind, you know what a perfect circle is. You understand the idea of it. That idea, that perfect circleness that never changes, is what Plato called a form. It's the perfect, unchanging blueprint for all circles. Thinking about Plato's ideas makes you wonder about the deeper truth behind what we see. It encourages us to look past the everyday imperfections and consider if there's an ideal, true essence to everything, waiting to be understood not just with our eyes, but with our minds. It's like searching for the whisper of perfection in a noisy world. Have you ever wondered if there's an endpoint to everything, like a final stage where things just stop changing fundamentally? We see progress all around us, from simple tools to complex space rockets. But what about human societies, our ways of living together, our governments? Could they reach a final perfect form? Here's the thing. A philosopher named Francis Fukuyama once asked a question much like this. Back in the late 1980s, when the Cold War was ending and big political systems like communism were crumbling, he had a truly big idea. He suggested that maybe history as we know it, meaning the long dramatic story of different political ideas fighting it out, might be coming to an end. Not an end like the world exploding, but an end to the debate over how humans should govern themselves. His idea was that liberal democracy, with its focus on individual freedom and voting, had somehow won the argument. It was, he argued, the best system, the one that truly satisfied our deepest human desires for recognition and dignity. Think of it like this. Imagine you're building a perfect sandcastle. You try different designs, maybe a tall tower, Maybe a wide fortress? After many tries, you finally find a design that feels just right, strong, and beautiful. Fukuyama was suggesting that liberal democracy might be that just right design for human government. So, if history truly ended with this triumph, what would come next? Would it be a time of calm, peaceful stability? Or would it be a bit boring? The question isn't about whether things stop happening, but whether the big, fundamental arguments about how we organize our lives finally settle. It makes you wonder, even if we find the best way, do humans ever truly stop striving, questioning, and dreaming of something new? Or is that constant search, that ongoing story, what it means to be human? How many times have you stepped into the same river? It sounds like a trick question, right? But here's the thing. An ancient Greek philosopher named Heraclitus would tell you, you can't step into the same river twice. He lived way back around 500 BC, long before our history books were even thought of. He believed that everything around us is always changing. Like a river, the water flows, new water comes, old water goes. So even if the river looks the same, it's not truly the same river. It's always new. Heraclitus saw the world not as solid and unchanging, but as a constant flow, like a flickering fire. He thought change wasn't just happening to things, but that change was the very core of everything. He called this flux, a word that means continuous moving or changing. For him, what seems stable is actually just a moment in a long, continuous dance of becoming something else. He famously said, "The only constant is change." This idea was pretty wild at the time, when many people looked for something that never changed. Think about yourself right now. The cells in your body are always replacing themselves. You're physically a different person today than you were a year ago, or even yesterday. Your thoughts change, your feelings shift, your favorite things might not be your favorite next week. That's Heraclitus's idea in action. Even a friendship or a hobby isn't a fixed thing. It grows, it changes, it adapts. So what does this mean for us? It means accepting that change isn't something to fear or fight. It's the very nature of life itself. Like a river, we are always moving, always becoming. It's a beautiful thought, really. It means every moment is fresh and every ending is a new beginning. We are part of this endless flow, like water in a vast ancient river. Have you ever felt a deep, strong pull inside you, urging you to do something, even if you don't fully understand why? It's like an instinct, a restless energy that just is. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer thought about this feeling a lot. He believed there's a powerful unseen force, a kind of will that moves everything in the universe. It's not just our conscious choices, like deciding what to eat. It's a deep, restless energy that makes plants grow, animals seek food, and even humans strive, sometimes without knowing why. Think of it like a giant, pulsing heartbeat that runs through all of existence, driving everything forward, always. Before him, another thinker named Kant said we can only truly know how things appear to us, not what they are in themselves. Schopenhauer agreed with this, but then he wondered, what is that hidden inner thing if we can't see it directly? He decided that hidden thing in itself behind everything we experience is this powerful, blind will. It's not smart or good or bad. It just is always wanting, always trying to express itself. Imagine a tiny seed pushing through hard earth to reach the sun. It doesn't think about it, right? It just does. Or think about how you might feel a sudden urge to learn a new skill, even if it seems hard. That deep pushing energy, that constant striving, is what Schopenhauer called the will. This idea can feel a little heavy. It suggests that much of our lives are driven by this ceaseless wanting, always reaching for the next thing. We want a new game, then a better one. We want to finish a project, then start another. And that's why Schopenhauer felt life can often feel like a struggle. But here's the thing. Understanding this deep inner drive can help us see ourselves and the world around us in a new light. It makes you wonder, if this will is always pushing, what does it mean to truly be at peace? Have you ever wondered what it truly means to belong? Not just to a club or a team, but to a community, a place where people genuinely care about each other? Sometimes we focus a lot on what I need, what my rights are. But there's another way of looking at the world, an idea called communitarianism. Here's the thing. This idea says that who we are, our very identity, is shaped by the groups we belong to. We aren't just separate islands. We are connected, like threads in a giant, beautiful tapestry. Long ago, thinkers believed that being part of a group, a community, was the most important thing. They knew a healthy community makes healthy people. It's not just about what you get from the group, but also what you give back. It's about finding a balance between individual freedom and shared responsibility. Think about putting on a school play. Each person has their own role. An actor, a stage manager, the person handling lights. Every one of them is important, and they have their own talent. But the magic of the play, the moment it truly shines, happens only when everyone works together, when they understand their part in the bigger picture. If one person doesn't show up or decides their role isn't important, the whole show can fall apart. So their individual effort helps the whole group succeed, and the group's success makes each individual's effort matter even more. So when we think about building a better community today, it's about remembering that connection. It's about understanding that our individual lives are richer and perhaps even safer when we all pitch in. It's about seeing ourselves as part of something grander, a collective story where everyone's voice echoes and everyone plays a part in writing the next beautiful chapter. Have you ever wondered what truly guides your choices? Is it always a superlogical thought process, or is there something else at play, something deeper? David Hume, a brilliant Scottish philosopher from the 1700s, looked at this question and came up with an idea that might surprise you. He famously said, "Reason is and ought only to be the slave of the passions." Now, that sounds a bit dramatic, right? But here's what he meant. Hume believed our feelings, our emotions, desires, hopes, and even our dislikes are the real bosses. Our logical thinking, our reason, isn't there to tell us what to want. Instead, it's mostly there to help us figure out how to get what our feelings already want. Think of it like this. Your feelings are the captain of a ship, deciding the destination. Your reason is the navigator, figuring out the best route to get there. It's not that logic is unimportant, it's just serving a different role. For centuries before Hume, many philosophers thought reason was the highest power, that pure logic should always lead the way. But Hume looked around and saw how much our human lives are truly shaped by our passions, our emotional pulls. Here's a simple example. Imagine you feel a strong desire to help a friend who's struggling. Your emotion, empathy, care is the initial spark. Your reason then kicks in to figure out how to help. Should I talk to them? Offer to study together? Just listen? The desire to help came from a feeling, not a cold, logical calculation. So, Hume teaches us that our emotions aren't just random bursts. They are fundamental guides. They point us toward what we value, what we care about, and what kind of future we want to build. Recognizing this doesn't make us less rational. It simply makes us more aware of the powerful, often hidden currents of feeling that steer our lives, helping us predict the future we're already moving towards. Do you ever wonder if people can truly get better? Not just smarter, but kinder, fairer? What if history isn't just a loop, but a climb upward? A long time ago, a French thinker named Condorcet believed we could. He called this the idea of progress. It wasn't just about cool new inventions or faster ways to travel. For him, progress meant humanity itself getting better, learning more, understanding each other, and becoming more just and reasonable over time. Condorcet lived in a time called the Enlightenment, a period when new ideas about reason and freedom were spreading. He saw a world struggling with old ways, even as the French Revolution was starting, promising big changes. Even when things looked dark, he held onto a powerful hope. He imagined a future where knowledge would break down prejudice, and science would solve our biggest problems, leading to a truly better world for everyone. He saw human history as one long, slow march toward perfection, driven by reason. Think about learning to ride a bike. At first, it's wobbly and hard. You fall, but you learn, you practice, and eventually, you ride smoothly. You've made progress. Condorcet felt humanity was doing something similar, but on a grander scale, always improving its balance and direction, guided by new discoveries and clearer thinking. Or consider how a scientific idea, like how germs cause illness, starts small, then grows, improving health for everyone. So, Condorcet's hope wasn't just a dream. It was a belief that our minds and our kindness could lead us to an amazing future. It reminds us that every step we take, every new thing we learn, every act of fairness is part of this long, quiet journey. It's a reminder that even when times feel tough, there's a deep current of hope pushing humanity forward, one small, thoughtful act at a time. Have you ever wondered if the way we learn or the way school works is truly the best way for us? It's a big question, right? Jean-Jacques Rousseau, a deep thinker from long ago, definitely wondered about it. He imagined a different kind of education, one that felt more natural. Here's the thing. Rousseau believed that kids are born good, full of natural curiosity and wonder. He thought society, with all its rules and expectations, could actually mess that up. So, his big idea was that education shouldn't be about stuffing children with facts or forcing them to learn things they weren't ready for. Instead, it should be about helping a child grow at their own pace, following their natural interests. Imagine learning about the world by exploring it, not just by reading about it in a textbook. That's a bit like what he meant. Back in his time, schools were often really strict. Kids sat in rows, memorized lots of stuff, and teachers sometimes used harsh punishments. Rousseau's ideas were pretty radical for then. He wrote a famous book called Emile, which was all about raising a child naturally, letting them discover things for themselves. Think about learning to ride a bike. You don't usually learn by reading a long book about physics and balance. You learn by trying, falling, and trying again. You figure it out through experience. Rousseau felt learning should be like faith hands-on, driven by your own questions. So he imagined a world where learning wasn't a chore, but an adventure. It wasn't about being told what to think, but about learning how to think for yourself. And that's why it matters. It's a gentle reminder that education is not just about getting good grades or knowing a lot of stuff. It's also about understanding yourself, connecting with the world, and letting your own inner spark guide your path. It's about growing into the unique person you are meant to be, with wonder as your guide. Have you ever stopped to think about how the tiny, everyday choices you make actually build who you are? Not the big, dramatic decisions, but the small, quiet actions that happen without much thought. What if these little things are secretly shaping your future, one moment at a time? Way back in ancient Greece, thousands of years ago, a very smart thinker named Aristotle thought a lot about this. He wasn't talking about magic or seeing into tomorrow. He believed something simpler but super powerful, our habits. Aristotle said that if you want to be a good person, you don't just wish for it. You do good things over and over again until those actions become easy and natural. He called this virtue, being the best version of yourself. For him, virtue wasn't just a feeling. It was a skill you practice, just like playing an instrument or learning a sport. Here's how it works. Think about learning to play the guitar. You don't just pick it up and instantly play a perfect song. You practice scales, you practice chords, maybe for just a few minutes each day. It might feel clumsy and even boring at first, but you keep going, right? And then after a while, your fingers just know what to do. The practice becomes a habit, and suddenly you can play. That consistent action built your skill. In the same way, choosing kindness or patience or honesty, not just once, but many times, helps those qualities become a natural part of you. So, the wisdom from Aristotle is this: our lives are not just about big, important choices. They are also about a million tiny ones. Each time you choose to be fair, or to study a little longer, or to help a friend, you are not just doing something good that one time. You are quietly shaping the person you are becoming. It's like water carving a stone. Each drop seems small, but over time, it shapes the whole riverbed. Your habits are those drops. They quietly carve your inner landscape, shaping not just what you do, but who you are. And that's why it matters. You are building your own future, one small, repeated action at a time. Imagine, for a moment, if you could peek into tomorrow. What if you knew exactly what was going to happen next week, or even next year? It's a thought that whispers to us sometimes, isn't it? That quiet wonder about what lies ahead. When we talk about forecasting with philosophers, We're not talking about magic or crystal balls. It's more about really deep thinking, a kind of wise guessing. Imagine trying to see patterns in the clouds to guess if it will rain. But for ideas and human behavior, philosophers looked at how people act, how societies change, and asked, if things keep going this way, what happens next? They tried to predict the path, not the exact destination. For thousands of years, brilliant thinkers weren't just writing down what was true right then. They were studying history, paying close attention to human nature, and trying to figure out big ideas about justice, fairness, and human purpose. They were trying to see the invisible threads connecting past events to future possibilities, not through magic, but through careful observation and logic. It was like they were drawing maps of human progress and problems, guessing where the road might lead. Or imagine a really good friend. You know them so well that sometimes you can guess what they'll say or do next, right? You've seen their habits, you understand their personality. You're not magic, you just know them deeply. Philosophers did this with humanity itself. They studied our choices, our mistakes, our dreams, and from that deep understanding, they tried to guess where we might be headed. So, while philosophers didn't have magic eyes for the future, they showed us something powerful. That deep understanding can give us a kind of foresight. It's about knowing human stories and patterns so well that you can gently whisper, this might happen if. It reminds us that our present moments, our choices, and our ideas are like seeds. They carry within them the silent promise, or sometimes the quiet warning of what is to come. And that's a beautiful, thoughtful way to look at time itself. Have you ever felt a strange whisper from the past? Like a song you've never heard but somehow remember? That's a bit like the echoes of ancient thoughts. It means ideas, big and important ones, that were first thought up thousands of years ago still sound clear and strong in our world today. These aren't just dusty old theories. They are living ideas, shaping how we think and act without us even realizing it. Think about people like Plato or Socrates from ancient Greece. They lived a very long time ago in a world without electricity or cars. But they spent their lives asking huge questions. What is truth? What is beauty? How should we live a good life? They talked about democracy, about justice, about what makes a perfect society, and that's why it matters. They were trying to figure out the basic rules of being human. Here's the thing. Their deep thinking didn't just disappear. Imagine someone invents a simple machine, like a wheel. It was created ages ago, but we still use wheels every single day, in cars, bikes, and even office chairs. It's the same with these ancient ideas. When we talk about fairness in a game, or what's right and wrong in a situation, we are touching on the same ideas of justice that Plato wrote about. When we vote for our leaders, we are using a system born from ancient Greek thoughts about democracy. These ancient ideas are like invisible threads connecting us to the past. They remind us that people have always wondered about the same big things, and that connection can be deeply comforting. It shows us that even though times change, the core human experience, our hopes, our fears, and our search for meaning remains much the same. So, these echoes aren't just sounds from history, they are guides, helping us understand who we are right now. Have you ever stopped to wonder, truly wonder, why we have rules at all? Imagine a world with no laws, no agreements, nothing to guide us. It would be a messy, wild place, wouldn't it? A place where the strongest always win and peace is rare. Here's the thing. Ancient philosophers pondered this exact idea. They looked at people and communities and thought about why we weren't just constantly fighting. This led to a big idea called the social contract. It's not a paper you sign, but an unwritten agreement, a quiet understanding we all have. It's the idea that to live together peacefully, we agree to give up some freedom. In return, the community or the government promises to protect us and keep order. Think about playing a game of basketball. If there were no rules, no boundaries, no fouls, it wouldn't be a game. It would just be chaos, everyone pushing. But when we agree to the rules, we create a structure. We give up the freedom to do anything with the ball, but in return, we get a fun, fair game. That's a tiny social contract in action. Thinkers like John Locke and Jean-Jacques Rousseau centuries ago spent their lives understanding this. They explored how following rules creates society. It's not about being forced. It's about choosing a shared path, a promise that lets us build something better than we could alone. It's a quiet agreement that echoes through time, a gentle reminder of our need for connection and peace. It suggests that even in a world of individual desires, we can find a way to live, truly live, together. Have you ever looked at something everyone just accepts as true and thought, but what if it's not? Or felt that little whisper inside asking, why? That feeling, that moment of not being totally sure, is what we call doubt. And it's not a weakness, it's a quiet strength, a kind of superpower. Doubt isn't about being negative or just complaining, it's about being curious. It means you're not simply taking things as they are. Instead, you're bravely wondering if there's another way to see things, another truth hiding just beneath the surface. It's like being a detective for your own thoughts, looking for clues instead of just accepting the first answer you find. Think about the ancient Greek thinker Socrates. He walked around his city, always asking people questions. He didn't tell them what to think, he just kept asking, why? And how do you know that? He made people really think about their beliefs. And because of that, new ideas could grow. His questioning wasn't meant to tear things down, but to help build a stronger understanding. It's how we move forward, how we learn something truly new. Here's an example. Imagine you're learning to ride a bike. At first, someone tells you, just pedal. But your doubt might make you wonder, how do I balance? What if I fall? That moment of doubt makes you pay more attention. It makes you lean into the turn, adjust your body, and eventually, you figure out how to ride. Your doubt didn't stop you. It helped you learn. In science, doubt is a big deal. Scientists constantly question what they think they know. This questioning pushes them to do new experiments, to find better answers, leading to amazing discoveries, like figuring out how medicines work or how planets are formed. So, when that feeling of doubt comes knocking, don't push it away. Listen to it. It's a quiet invitation to explore, to dig deeper, to find your own answers. It helps you see the world with fresh eyes and build your understanding on solid ground. Rather than just accepting what's handed to you, this kind of questioning can lead you to discover what you truly believe, making your wisdom your own. What guides you when the path ahead feels foggy? When you have to make a tough choice, what helps you decide? Sometimes, life can feel like a vast ocean, and it's easy to get lost without a map or a compass. But here's the thing, you carry a compass inside you. It's called your personal philosophy. A personal philosophy is like an inner guide. It's a set of deep beliefs and values that live within you. These are the ideas that help you understand the world, decide what matters, and choose how to act. It's your unique way of seeing life, your own special blueprint for how you want to live. Think about people from history, like the ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle, or even someone more recent like Eleanor Roosevelt. They didn't just wander aimlessly through their days. They spent time thinking about what makes a good person and what a life well lived truly means. Aristotle talked about eudaimonia, which isn't just happiness, but a deep sense of flourishing and purpose. He believed we could find this by living wisely, with good character. In Eleanor Roosevelt, she held strong beliefs about fairness and human rights, which guided every step she took. Their beliefs were their North Star constant light, showing them the way. Imagine you're trying to build something important, maybe a sturdy bridge or even a complex robot. You wouldn't just start putting pieces together randomly, right? You'd need a plan, a design, a clear idea of what you're trying to create. That design is like your personal philosophy. It gives your actions purpose and helps you build something strong and meaningful. Without it, you might end up with something wobbly, something that doesn't hold together. So, finding your personal philosophy isn't about memorizing old rules or facts. It's a quiet journey inward. It's about asking yourself, what do I truly believe in? What matters most to my heart? What kind of person do I want to become? Thinking about these things, even slowly, can bring a calm strength. It gives your life a gentle direction, like a steady beam of light, helping you navigate through whatever storms or calms come your way. Have you ever wondered how our very best ideas truly come to be? Sometimes, it feels like a sudden spark in your mind, but often, the deepest insights, the most lasting truths, are born from a kind of gentle friction, a beautiful meeting of different ways of thinking. This is where the old idea of dialectic comes in. Here's the thing. Dialectic isn't about yelling or arguing to simply win a point. It's more like a conversation, a thoughtful dance between ideas. Imagine one idea. Let's call it a thesis, as a calm stream flowing in one direction. Then, imagine a second idea, an antithesis, like another stream, perhaps flowing in a different way, challenging the first. When these two meet, they don't just stop. Instead, they mix, they push, they shape each other. And from this meeting, a new, deeper understanding emerges, a synthesis. It's a fresh river carrying elements of both, but stronger and clearer. Think of it like this. Maybe you and a friend are planning a project for school. You have one great idea, and your friend has another, totally different one. At first, you might both think only your way is right. But as you talk it out, really listening to each other, you start to see the strengths in both. You might even find a third, even better idea that combines the best parts of both your original thoughts. That's dialectic at work in your everyday life. For centuries, philosophers like Socrates, way back in ancient Greece, used this method. Socrates didn't give lectures. He just asked questions. He'd hear what someone believed, then ask more questions that gently challenged their assumptions, guiding them to look at things differently. It wasn't about proving them wrong, but about helping them think more deeply, to refine their own understanding. It was a journey of shared discovery. So when we talk about ideas colliding, it's not always a harsh crash. Sometimes it's a careful shaping, a merging of perspectives. It's how minds grow, how our understanding of the world deepens, and how we sometimes even glimpse the future, not by predicting it exactly, but by understanding the forces that shape it. It's a quiet, powerful process, always moving us forward. Have you ever stopped to really look at a forest, or felt the wind on your face, and wondered what we truly owe this incredible planet? Not just what we can take from it, but what we should give back, or how we should treat it. This deep question leads us to something called environmental ethics. Here's the thing. Environmental ethics is about how we decide what's right and wrong when it comes to the natural world around us. It's asking if nature, like animals or oceans, has its own value, separate from what it gives to us. For a long time, many people thought humans were the only things that mattered morally, and nature was just a resource. But ancient cultures, like many Native American tribes, saw things differently. They believed the earth was a living relative, something to be honored and cared for, not just used. Their wisdom was that we are part of nature, not separate from it, and that our choices affect everything. Think about it like this. If you have a pet, you don't just feed it because you get something back. You feed it and care for it because you feel a responsibility, because it has its own right to a good life. In a way, environmental ethics asks us to think about our planet with that same kind of deep care and responsibility. Every time we choose to recycle, or turn off a light, or think about where our food comes from, we are making an ethical choice about our relationship with the earth. Our choices today, even the small ones, are like ripples in a pond. They spread out and touch the future, shaping the world for those who come after us. So, as we think about the philosophers who predicted the future, maybe the biggest prediction is this. The future of our planet rests on our ethical choices, on how deeply we choose to care for this one precious home we all share. Have you ever really thought about what it means to be free? Is it just doing whatever you want, whenever you want? Or is there something deeper to it, a quieter kind of freedom that lives inside? For thousands of years, philosophers, these amazing thinkers from history, have argued about this very question. And guess what? They never fully agreed. Some ancient thinkers, like Plato from ancient Greece, believed true freedom wasn't just about doing whatever feels good in the moment. He thought it was about using your mind, controlling your impulses, and choosing what's good and right, not just what's easy. It's like being free from your bad habits, so you can be free to become your best self. Think about a time you had a choice, to study for a test or spend all day playing video games. You might feel free to play games, but is that true freedom if it leads to regret later? Other thinkers much later, like John Locke, talked a lot about freedom from government control, about having rights to make your own choices about your life and property. So, one kind of freedom is about what society allows you to do, and another is about what you allow yourself to do deep down. It's a bit like a bird. It's free to fly in the big open sky, but it's also free from the fear of falling because it knows how to use its wings. The thing is, True freedom often involves choices that aren't easy. It means understanding yourself, understanding the world around you, and then making decisions that align with what truly matters, even if it's hard. It's not just a feeling, but a deep act of choosing who you want to be. So, as you grow, think about what kind of freedom you're looking for. Is it freedom from limits, or freedom to grow into something more? It's a quiet debate that lives inside each of us. Have you ever watched people, really watched them, and wondered why we do the things we do? Why we laugh? Why we get upset? Why we try so hard to fit in or stand out? It's like we're all part of a huge, ongoing experiment, right? For thousands of years, philosophers have looked at humanity exactly like that, an experiment, not with test tubes and lab coats, but with deep thought and careful observation. They saw humans as a puzzle, something to be studied to figure out what makes us tick, our strengths and weaknesses. Think about ancient Greece. Over 2,000 years ago, people like Plato and Aristotle asked, what makes a good person? What kind of society works best? They watched how people behaved, how societies rose and fell, trying to figure out the rules of being human. Later, during the Enlightenment, that was hundreds of years ago, when new ideas popped up everywhere, philosophers like John Locke and Jean-Jacques Rousseau looked at us differently. They wondered if we were born good or bad, and how much our surroundings shaped us. They asked if government should control us, or if we should be truly free. It was like a mental test. If you put humans in this kind of society, what happens? If you give them this much freedom, then what? Imagine you're setting up a science project, like watching a plant grow with different amounts of light. Philosophers did something similar. They watched how we reacted to different rules, ideas, and challenges. They looked for patterns. They wanted to see what made us truly human. This way of thinking helps us understand ourselves better, seeing the big picture or just the messy, beautiful reality of being alive. And that's why it matters. Every one of us is part of this ancient, unfolding story, always learning, always becoming. It's pretty cool to think about. Have you ever stopped to wonder, truly wonder, what it means to be human? It's not just about walking on two legs or having a big brain. It's something deeper, something quietly powerful that makes us who we are. Here's the thing. Being human is like an art project we are always working on. It's about how we feel, how we think, and how we choose to live in a world that is always changing. For thousands of years, people have thought about this. Ancient Greek philosophers, like Plato and Aristotle, spent their lives asking what makes us unique. They believed we had a special ability to reason and to search for truth and beauty. Later, thinkers from other times asked if it was our ability to create art, to tell stories, or to feel deep love and sorrow that truly set us apart. It's not just our bones and blood, but our inner world. The feelings, memories, and dreams that no one else can see. That's a big part of it. Think about a moment when you felt something really strongly, maybe the joy of succeeding at something hard, or the quiet sadness of saying goodbye, or the wonder of looking at the stars. A tree doesn't choose to be strong, it just grows that way. A bird doesn't decide to sing beautifully, it just does. But we humans, we choose to learn, to forgive, to create. We can look at something broken and imagine how to fix it, or find a beautiful song in a simple sound. That's what's special, and that's why it matters. Being human means we're always learning, always growing. It means we get to experience a wide range of emotions and make choices about who we want to be. It's a journey of figuring out what truly matters to us, what brings us peace, and how we can connect with the vast, incredible world around us. It's a quiet, ongoing discovery. Have you ever wondered if the thoughts of people who lived thousands of years ago could still help us today? It might seem strange, but here's the thing. Some wisdom never dies. This is what we call timeless wisdom. It means ideas, truths, and ways of understanding the world that stay true no matter how much time passes or how much technology changes around us. Think about the philosophers from ancient Greece, like Plato. They spent their lives thinking about big questions. What is fairness? How can we be brave? What does it mean to live a truly good life? These weren't just homework problems for them. They were trying to figure out how to navigate the world. And guess what? We're still asking many of those same questions today, right here, right now. It's like how a simple math rule, like 2 + 2 = 4, was true 1,000 years ago, and is still true right now. The numbers don't change just because we have calculators. In the same way, the basic feelings we have, joy, sadness, fear, hope, haven't really changed either. And so, the wisdom about handling those feelings, or making tough choices, or understanding what's truly right and wrong, often remains the same. A quiet, constant. When we look at the ideas from these long-gone thinkers, we're not just looking at history, we're finding echoes of our own experiences. Their words can feel like a quiet light, showing us something important about our own paths. It reminds us that even though we live in a different time, we share a deep connection with everyone who came before us. We are all part of one big, ongoing human story, and the lessons from the past can truly guide our future. Have you ever really stopped to think about where everything around you truly began? Not the physical stuff, but the invisible spark that started it all? It's a big question, but it points to something amazing: the power of a single thought. Here's the thing: every great invention, every big change in society, every new way we understand our universe, it all began as just one idea. It was a quiet thought in someone's mind, like a tiny seed. But that seed, if cared for, can grow into something huge, something that changes how we live and see the world. Think about it. For a long time, people believed the earth was flat. It made sense to them. But then, one person had a thought, a curious question. What if it's not flat? What if it's round? That was a simple thought. But that idea, once whispered, then proven, totally changed how people saw their world. It led to incredible voyages and a new understanding of our planet. Or consider something closer to home. Imagine a friend seeing a messy park and thinking, someone should clean this up. That's a start, but then that thought shifts. What if we got a group together? Soon, that one tiny spark turns into a whole community project. It spreads, and the park is beautiful again. One thought created a ripple, changing a little piece of the world. So, here's a calm thought to carry. Your own ideas, even the ones you think are small, have this same power. They are seeds. What kind of world will your ideas help grow? It's a quiet wonder, knowing something so tiny can become so mighty. Have you ever paused and wondered, is the world I experience exactly the same world someone else experiences? It's a deep question, but here's the thing. We often assume we all see the same sky, feel the same sun, or understand the same words. But what if we don't? This idea of shared truths is about searching for things that are true for everyone, everywhere, no matter what they think or feel. Think about it this way. When you look at a red apple, do you know if the color red in your mind is exactly the same red in my mind? We both call it red. But what if your red is my blue? This might sound silly, but it leads to a bigger thought. Are there some truths that are just universally, undeniably real? Long ago, thinkers like the ancient Greek philosopher Plato asked questions like this. He wondered if there were perfect forms or ideas that existed somewhere, like a perfect circle or a perfect justice, and that what we see in our world are just imperfect copies. It's a bit like saying that numbers like 2 + 2 = 4 aren't just something we made up. They feel like a truth that exists on its own, true whether humans are around or not. Logic too feels like this. If A equals B and B equals C, then A must equal C. That's a truth that doesn't depend on your feelings. Consider gravity. You can believe in it or not believe in it, but if you drop a ball, it will fall. That's a shared truth. It's not an opinion, it's a fact of the world. Something that happens the same way for everyone. Or when we look at the stars, we can all agree they are there, even if our personal feelings about them are different. The search for shared truths isn't about ignoring our own feelings or unique ways of seeing things. Instead, it's a quiet journey to find the common ground, the solid bedrock beneath all our individual experiences. It's about trying to understand what connects us all, what makes us human, and what makes the world real for everyone. It makes you feel a part of something much bigger than just yourself. Have you ever stood at a crossroads in your life, even a small one, and wondered what would have happened if you'd chosen differently? Maybe picking one elective or making a new friend? We walk a path day by day, but what about all the other roads that spread out, unseen, just beyond our chosen steps? This is something philosophers have thought deeply about for centuries. They imagine not just the world as it is, but the countless worlds as they could be. It's about exploring the paths not taken, the futures that almost were. For them, it wasn't about magic or time travel. It was about seeing how every decision, big or small, could have led to a completely different present. Think back to the ancient Greeks. Some, like the Stoics, believed fate had everything planned for us. But others, like the Epicureans, saw more freedom, more open choices. As time went on, thinkers kept asking, what if? They realized our reality is just one of many possibilities, like a single branch on an enormous, spreading tree. Every leaf could have been a different color. It's a bit like when you play a game with multiple endings. You make a choice, and the story goes one way. But in your mind, you can almost see the other ending, the one you didn't pick. You wonder how those characters lived on that road. Philosophers do this for the universe, for societies, and for our own selves. So, thinking about the road not taken isn't about regret. Instead, it's a calm, powerful way to understand the true impact of choice. It shows us that every path, even the ones we just imagine, holds wisdom. It reminds us to truly see and appreciate the path we are on, knowing how special and unique it is among all the endless possibilities. Have you ever wondered why some lessons stick while others just drift away like clouds? Think about it. Do you remember a long list of facts or the plot of your favorite movie? For most of us, it's the movie. The ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle deeply understood this. He believed humans are naturally curious. We love to learn, and one of the most powerful ways is through stories. Here's the thing. Aristotle talked about mimesis. This big word just means imitation or representation. He meant we learn by seeing things mirrored back to us. When we watch a play, read a book, or hear a song, we experience life and ideas through someone else's eyes. It's like a safe way to explore the world. Instead of just hearing gravity exists, you might watch a character fall and truly grasp the impact, the reality of it. Imagine reading about a character who makes a mistake, feels sad, and then learns. You don't have to make that same mistake yourself to understand the lesson about regret or resilience. You feel it with the character. So, stories aren't just entertainment. They're like training grounds for our minds and hearts. They show us how different choices can play out, and that's why stories matter so much. They don't just give us information, they give us wisdom. They teach us about cause and effect, about courage and kindness, about the messy, beautiful truth of being human. They connect us to experiences across time and place, building empathy and making us feel less alone. We learn, we grow, and we feel, all because someone chose to tell a story. Have you ever seen a tiny spiderweb shimmering with dew and wondered how it connects to the tree, the soil, and the rain? Do you ever think about how small things in our lives link to much bigger ones in ways we can't always see? Here's the thing. Many wise thinkers, from long ago to today, believed everything in the world is connected. Nothing truly stands alone. Imagine a giant invisible web. Every event, person, choice, thought, it's a thread in this vast fabric. This idea is called interconnectedness. It means one thing affects another, and that affects a third, and so on. It's a chain reaction. For ages, philosophers pondered this. Ancient Greek thinkers saw the universe as one orderly system. They noticed how the sun affects seasons, which affect plants that feed animals. It was one breathing whole. Later, others thought how a simple kind act can ripple outwards, touching many lives, or how a small discovery can change the world for generations. Think about a busy school hallway after the bell. One student bumps another, dropping their books. Someone stops to help. That small act of kindness creates a good moment, but because they stopped, they might miss an instruction affecting a project later. See how one tiny event branches out? So, it's not just about what we see in front of us. It's about feeling how we're all part of something much grander. It's the quiet understanding that every little thing we do, every thought, every choice, sends out tiny ripples. And those ripples, no matter how small, always touch something else in the vast, beautiful ocean of existence. Have you ever gazed at the sky, or just stared out the window, and let your mind wander to big questions? Like, what if we could truly start fresh? Not just clean your room, but wipe the slate clean for our whole world, our society. Imagine a blank page. What would we write on it? This isn't about tearing things down. It's about dreaming of how we'd build things up, using our most powerful tools, ideas. Rebuilding society with ideas means thinking about the core beliefs, the rules, and the shared understandings that make people live together. What would be the first rule? What kind of world do we truly want? And what thoughts would build it? For thousands of years, thinkers dreamed of this. The ancient Greek philosopher Plato, for example, wrote a whole book called The Republic. He wasn't drawing blueprints for buildings. Instead, he designed a perfect society in his mind, based on ideas of justice, wisdom, and courage. He understood that a society isn't just buildings and roads. It's a shared story, a collection of agreements woven from human thought. Think about a new sports team forming. You don't just show up and play. First, you talk. What are your goals? How will you treat each other? What kind of teamwork matters most? Those discussions, those shared ideas about fairness and effort, become the invisible rules that hold the team together and help it succeed. So, when we wonder about starting over, we're not just dreaming of a magic reset button. We're actually tapping into the deep human wish to make things better. It's a quiet hope that lives inside us, reminding us that even small ideas, shared and cared for, can slowly, gently change the world, one thought, one conversation at a time. And that's a powerful thing to ponder. Have you ever felt that strange, quiet flutter in your chest when you realize you could choose anything? It's a powerful, almost dizzying feeling. That feeling touches on an idea called existentialism. It's a way of thinking that became important after big wars and tough times. Here's the thing. It means we are born without a preset purpose or a fixed life plan. We just exist first. Then, through every single choice we make, every action, every thought, we create who we are. We build our own purpose as we go. It's like being given a blank canvas, and every brushstroke is your decision. Some thinkers, like Jean-Paul Sartre, saw life this way. They saw a world where old rules crumbled. So they asked, if there's no big rulebook for us, then what? Their answer was a bit scary but also very freeing. We are condemned to be free. This just means we have to make choices. We can't escape that responsibility. Imagine you're deciding what club to join at school. You could pick drama, coding, or sports. No one is forcing you. Whatever you pick helps shape your day, the people you meet, and your skills. And if you choose not to pick anything, that's a choice too. Every time you decide what to do, what to learn, or even what kind of friend you want to be, you are creating your own story. This idea that we are truly free to define ourselves can feel like a heavy weight, but it's also a powerful, beautiful truth. It means that even when things feel uncertain, you have the incredible ability to choose your path, to decide what matters to you, and to build meaning in your own unique way. Your choices, big and small, write the pages of your life. And that's why it matters. Have you ever looked at something truly beautiful, maybe a sunset or a kindness shared, and felt like you already knew it somehow? Not just new information, but a whisper of a forgotten truth? This deep feeling, this sense of recognition, was something the ancient Greek philosopher Plato thought a lot about. Plato lived over 2,000 years ago, a time when people spent hours just thinking about life's big questions. One of his most famous ideas was about the soul, our inner self, the part of us that thinks and feels. He believed our souls are immortal. They don't just appear when we're born and vanish when we die. Instead, he imagined our souls lived before we came to this world. Before birth, our souls existed in a perfect, unchanging place. He called this the world of forms. In this world, there were perfect ideas, perfect beauty, perfect justice, perfect goodness. Our souls saw these perfect forms clearly, like looking at a clear blueprint for everything true and good. But then, when we were born, we forgot almost everything. It's like waking from a vivid dream and only remembering bits and pieces. So, when we see something beautiful here on earth, or experience true fairness, Plato suggested it's our soul dimly remembering those perfect forms it saw long ago. It's like hearing a melody you loved as a young child. Even if you can't quite place it, your heart knows it. Learning, for Plato, wasn't about gaining new knowledge. It was about remembering what our souls already knew. This ancient idea makes us wonder if there's more to us than just what we see and touch, and if our journey stretches far beyond this single life. It makes us think about our inner world and what it might truly hold. Have you ever felt like a rule was just wrong? Like really deeply unfair? to the point where it hurt more than it helped? We all have. Now, imagine if the people in charge, the government, stopped listening entirely. What if they started taking away your most basic freedoms? The ones you're born with, like the freedom to speak your mind or to own the things you worked for. Well, a long time ago, a very smart thinker named John Locke wrestled with these questions. He believed that every single person has natural rights, rights that belong to us just because we are human. These aren't given by any king or government. They are part of us, like the right to live, to be free, and to have our own property. And here's the thing. Locke argued that governments exist for one main reason: to protect these exact rights for everyone. This idea was a big deal back in the 1600s. Kings often claimed their power came straight from God, meaning no one could question them. But Locke said, no, power actually comes from the people. He thought of government like a trusted helper or manager. They are chosen by the people to serve the people. So, if that helper turns into a bully or completely fails to do his job, then the people have a right to change that helper. They even have a right to rebel against an unjust government that no longer serves them. It's not about chaos, but about putting things right when they go terribly wrong. Think of it like a group project at school. If your team leader starts making all the decisions without asking anyone, ignores your good ideas, and even claims all the credit for your hard work, how would you feel? You'd probably feel frustrated. You might try to talk to them, try to fix things, but if they just keep doing it and your project is failing because of their bad leadership, eventually the team might decide to pick a new leader. Why? Because the original leader isn't serving the group's purpose anymore. Locke's idea isn't just about fighting, it's about a deep belief in human dignity and worth. It's a quiet, powerful whisper that tells us true power should always serve the people, not control them. It reminds us that our voices matter, and that a truly fair world is built on the understanding that every single person deserves to be treated with respect and to have their fundamental freedoms protected. It's a profound thought, one that echoes through history, gently asking us to always question, always strive for what is truly right and fair for all. Have you ever thought about what keeps our world from being a jumble of noise and confusion? Imagine a playground with no rules at all, no turns on the slide, no boundaries for games, just everyone doing exactly what they felt like. It would be a mess, right? Scary, even. This need for guidance, for a blueprint, is where laws come from. Laws are like a hidden blueprint for how we live together. They aren't just rules written down, but agreements that help us share space. They tell us what to expect from others and what others expect from us. Imagine walking in a busy school hallway. You probably stick to one side, right? That's an unwritten law, keeping everyone from bumping. For thousands of years, people have wondered about this. Even ancient thinkers, long before big countries existed, saw that for people to live together without constant fighting, they needed shared ways to act. They knew that life could be wild and unpredictable. So, they looked for principles, for ways to make things fair and clear. They asked, how can we build a peaceful world when everyone is so different? Part of their answer was simple. Through shared rules, through laws. Look at something simple, like traffic lights. Red means stop, green means go. It's a basic law, but imagine if no one followed it. Cars would crash, people would get hurt, and traffic would stop completely. But because we all agree to follow these simple signals, millions of cars can move safely every day. These laws don't take away our freedom. They give us the freedom to drive safely and well. So, laws are not just about control. They are quiet, strong threads that weave through our lives, turning possible chaos into a gentle, flowing order. They let us trust, build, and dream. They help us create a future together, instead of living in constant uncertainty. What does it really mean to live a good life? Not just a life where you feel happy sometimes, but one that truly shines, where you feel like you're doing what you're meant to do. It's a question people have asked for thousands of years. One of those thinkers was Aristotle, an ancient Greek philosopher. He didn't just guess, he watched people closely. He looked at what made lives truly meaningful, not just fun for a moment. He called this idea eudaimonia. It's a big word, but it just means human flourishing. Think of it like a plant growing strong and healthy, producing beautiful flowers or fruit. That plant is flourishing. For us, flourishing means living up to our full potential, being our best selves, finding purpose. Aristotle believed this wasn't about luck. It was like a science, a practical skill you could learn. Imagine you have a small garden, and you want your plants to truly thrive. You don't just throw seeds on the ground and hope for the best. You learn what each plant needs. The right amount of water, enough sunlight, good soil. You prune it when needed, you protect it from pests. It takes effort and smart choices. Living a good life, Aristotle said, is a lot like that. It's about understanding what feeds your soul, what helps you grow strong and kind, and what makes you useful in the world. It's about making wise choices every day. He talked a lot about finding balance, like not being too brave or too afraid, but just right. This just right spot he called the golden mean. It's about finding the sweet spot in your actions and feelings. So, Aristotle's map isn't a set of strict rules, but a way to navigate life, helping us discover how to truly flourish. It's a journey of becoming. It's about building a life that feels deeply right day after day. A quiet, lasting joy that comes from living wisely and growing into the amazing person you are meant to be. Do you ever feel a little lost, even when you're surrounded by so much? Like, with all the latest gadgets and amazing places to go online, there's still a quiet question whispering in your mind. Is this really making me happier? This deep feeling is something a thinker named Jean-Jacques Rousseau considered way back in the 1700s. He lived during a time when everyone was thrilled about new discoveries and bigger cities. People thought society was always making us better, but Rousseau saw something else. Here's the thing. He felt that as humans built more complex societies, and as we started chasing after more things, like money or fame, or just keeping up with what everyone else had, we began to lose touch with our true selves. He called this our natural state. He believed that in a simpler, more natural way of living, people were more honest, more content, and more genuinely free. They didn't feel the need to pretend or compete. Think about it like being on a social media app. At first, it might seem fun, a great way to connect. But then, you start seeing everyone's perfect pictures, all their exciting trips, and all the cool stuff they own. Suddenly, you might feel like your own life isn't as good, or you start wanting things you never even thought about before. This can make you feel pressured to look a certain way, or to buy certain things just to fit in. Rousseau said that modern society, much like that app, can make us compare ourselves constantly. It pushes us to compete and to seek approval, which can make us feel less truly free, even though it promises us more comfort and success. So, Rousseau offered a warning. All this progress could have a hidden cost. It might actually pull us away from what makes us genuinely happy inside. Maybe the real treasure isn't in always getting more, but in finding quiet corners in our lives where we can just be ourselves, remembering what truly fills our hearts, beyond what the busy world tells us we should desire. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, far away from city lights, and truly felt the vastness of it all? It's a feeling that makes you wonder, where do I fit in all of this? That question about our place in the cosmos is something people have thought about for thousands of years. It's a deep, quiet question about where we belong. The cosmos is just another name for the universe-y thing that exists, from the smallest dust particle to the biggest galaxy you can imagine. And our place means how we, as humans, see ourselves within that huge, unending space. For a long, long time, ancient thinkers believed Earth was the very center of everything. Famous philosophers like Aristotle from ancient Greece taught that Earth stayed still while the sun, moon, and stars revolved around us in perfect circles. This idea made humans feel very special, like the main event of the universe. It gave people a sense of comfort and great importance in the grand design. But then, centuries later, new discoveries began to shift this view. Brave scientists like Copernicus and Galileo used new tools and careful observations to show something different. They found that Earth actually spins and orbits the sun, just like other planets. This was a huge change. It meant we weren't the center. We were just one part of a much bigger solar system, which itself is part of a galaxy. And there are billions of galaxies. Think of it like this. Maybe you used to believe your house was the only one that truly mattered, or at least the most important. Then, one day, you realize your house is just one among many on a street, in a neighborhood, in a city, in a country. You're still there, your life is still important, but your perspective has grown much, much wider. This understanding can feel strange at first, maybe even a little humbling, but it's also incredibly beautiful. It doesn't make us small or unimportant. Instead, it connects us to something unbelievably grand. It reminds us that we are made of the same stuff as stars, part of this incredible ongoing cosmic story. And knowing that fills us with wonder, a quiet amazement at being alive in such a mysterious, expansive universe. Have you ever stopped to wonder what you'll really do when you grow up? Not just what job you'll have, but what your days will feel like. Here's the thing. As machines get smarter and take over more tasks, some people worry there won't be enough work for humans. But ancient thinkers had a lot to say about this, even if they didn't have robots in mind. They ask deep questions about what work truly is. Is it just about earning money to live? Or is it something more, something that gives our lives shape and meaning? For instance, way back in ancient Greece, philosophers like Aristotle thought that manual labor was mostly for slaves. They believed that free people should spend their time on higher pursuits, things like thinking, discussing big ideas, making art, or being a good citizen. They thought that was where true human purpose lay. So, for them, the future of work wasn't about everyone having a job. It was about creating a society where people could be free to explore their minds and creativity. They imagined a world where basic needs were met, and we could focus on becoming better humans. It's a bit like when you work on a project for school, not just for the grade, but because you learn something new or create something cool. That feeling of accomplishment, that sense of growth, that's what they were after. And that's why it matters today. If machines handle the chores and the repetitive tasks, what will we be left with? Maybe we'll have more time to truly create, to invent, to connect with each other, or to simply understand the world better. The philosophers suggest the future of work might not be about doing less, but about doing more of what makes us truly human. It's about finding our own kind of meaning beyond just a paycheck. Have you ever stopped to truly think about a thought? Not just what you're thinking, but the idea itself? It starts as something soft, a whisper in your mind, an image flickering behind your eyes. But here's the thing, those whispers aren't always silent. Sometimes they hold the very beginning of everything that happens next. This is the power of human thought. The way a simple idea, born only from our imagination, can step out of our heads and become real. Something you can touch, see, or experience. Think about it. The chair you're sitting on, the words you're reading, even the screen in front of you, all began as just an idea. Someone imagined something that didn't exist yet. A solution, a story, a dream. Long ago, thinkers like the ancient Greek philosopher Plato understood this. He believed that a perfect idea, like a perfect circle, existed before any actual circle was drawn. For him, these pure ideas were the first spark, leading to everything real around us. So, for a very long time, people have known our thoughts are more than just fleeting pictures. They are blueprints. They are beginnings. Consider a simple, everyday example. Maybe you have an idea for a new game you want to create with your friends. First, it's only in your head. The characters, the rules, how it plays. Then, you start to talk about it, draw it, maybe even build little pieces. Slowly, that invisible idea takes shape in the real world. It goes from, what if, to look what we made, and that's why it matters. Our minds aren't just places where thoughts live, they are a workshop. What we dream, wonder about, or imagine, these are the first steps toward building our world. Every invention, every great art piece, every kind act begins with a thought. So, here's what happened. Our inner world, full of imagination, isn't separate from the outer world. It's the very force that shapes it. Recognizing this quiet magic within us helps us understand how much we can truly create. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, full of sparkling stars, and felt a tiny tug in your chest? Maybe you wondered, why are we here? Why does anything exist at all? That feeling, that deep wondering, is what we're talking about today. It's the why question, and it's one of the oldest, most powerful questions we humans have ever asked. Here's the thing about why. It's not just about getting a simple answer. It's about wanting to understand the reason behind something, the purpose, the deeper meaning. When you ask, why is the grass green? You're not just looking for because of chlorophyll. You're asking about the very nature of light and life, the way things work, the truth hidden underneath what we see. This hunger to know isn't new at all. Thousands of years ago, People like the ancient Greek philosophers sat around asking these same kinds of profound questions. They wondered about what makes a good life, why bad things happen, or what happens after we die. They knew that asking why wasn't always easy, but it was essential to being fully human. Think about a little kid. They go through a stage where they ask, why? About everything. Why is the sky blue? Why do dogs bark? Why do I have to go to bed? At first, it might seem a bit much, but really, it's amazing. That child is trying to build a map of their world, to figure out how everything connects, how it all makes sense. They're not just accepting what they see, they want to know the cause, the purpose, the true meaning. We never truly stop doing that, do we? Even as we grow older, that curious part of us stays alive. And that's why it matters so much. Asking why isn't about finding a single perfect answer that fits everyone and forever. Sometimes there isn't one. Instead, it's about the journey of asking, about thinking deeply, and about exploring the big mysteries of life itself. It's about discovering new questions, even more than just finding old answers. It connects us to all the people who ever lived, stretching our minds and hearts towards the great unknown. It's a quiet promise that we will always keep looking, keep wondering, and keep growing into more thoughtful, understanding people. Learning from mistakes, philosophy as a guide. Have you ever messed up? Maybe you said something you regretted, or you tried something new and it just didn't work out. It's a feeling we all know, that quiet sting of getting something wrong. But what if those moments, those slips and falls, are actually some of our greatest teachers? Here's the thing. Philosophy isn't just about dusty old books or big confusing words. It's really about learning how to live well, and a huge part of living well is understanding how to learn from our own mistakes. Think about the ancient thinkers, like those in Greece, long, long ago. They didn't have phones or video games, but they had problems, just like us. They asked deep questions. How should I live? What is a good life? And what happens when I get it wrong? They understood that making a mistake isn't the end. Instead, it's a chance to stop, look closely, and figure out why something went astray. They practiced something called reflection, simply looking back at their actions and thoughts to see what they could improve. It was like they were constantly editing their own lives, aiming for a better version. Imagine you're trying to build a complex Lego castle, and it keeps collapsing. You don't just throw it away, right? You look at which pieces you used, where the structure was weak, and then you try a different way. Maybe you need a stronger base or different bricks. That careful look back, that analyzing what went wrong so you can build better next time, that's philosophy in action. It's not about being perfect, because no one is, but it is about being brave enough to face your errors and curious enough to understand them. So, when we trip and stumble, philosophy offers us a way to pick ourselves up, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally too. It guides us to ask the right questions. What did I learn here? How can I do this differently next time? And that's why it matters. Every mistake becomes a lesson. Every fall a step towards becoming a wiser, more thoughtful person. It teaches us that true growth often begins not when everything goes right, but when we dare to understand what went wrong. Have you ever noticed how sometimes the oldest person in the room just seems to know things? Like your grandparent, who can tell you exactly how a situation will turn out, even if it feels new to you. Here's the thing, this isn't magic. It's often the wisdom of age. It's about seeing the world for a long, long time, watching patterns repeat themselves. Think of the way seasons change, or how people tend to react to similar challenges. Many of the great thinkers we call philosophers, the ones whose ideas we still study today, lived for a long time. They were old when they wrote down their deepest thoughts. They weren't just guessing about the future. Instead, they were like super experienced observers. They watched human nature unfold over decades, maybe even centuries, through the stories and histories passed down to them. They saw how power changes people, how societies rise and fall, and what makes a human being truly happy or sad. They understood that while the world around us changes, the basic wiring of the human heart often stays the same. So, when they predicted things, it wasn't like predicting tomorrow's weather. It was more like understanding that if you plant a certain seed, a certain type of plant will grow. Or, like your coach, who's seen thousands of games, can tell you what the other team will likely do in a certain situation. They didn't have a crystal ball. They just had a deep, deep understanding of human patterns. And that's why it matters. Their words are like ancient echoes, reminding us that while our world moves so fast, some truths are timeless. These insights, discovered by minds aged with wisdom, still offer us guidance today. It's a quiet comfort, knowing that in the endless flow of time, some understanding about ourselves remains constant. Shaping tomorrow today, how philosophy builds the future. Asterisk, asterisk. Have you ever stopped to wonder if the world we live in right now was always meant to be this way? Or if the way we think about things today actually helps build tomorrow? It's a quiet thought, but a powerful one. Philosophy, at its heart, is like a deep, gentle whisper in our minds, asking us to look beyond what we see. It's not just about dusty books or old thinkers. It's about asking big questions. What is fair? What is right? How should we live together? And here's the thing. The answers to these questions aren't just answers. They are the blueprints for the future. Think about it this way. Long ago, people like the ancient Greeks asked what a good society looked like. They wondered if everyone should have a say, or if one person should rule. Their ideas, debated and discussed, slowly shaped the way governments work even today, giving us things like democracy. Before we had laws about human rights, someone had to first think deeply about what human truly meant and what every person deserved. Those deep thoughts became the foundation for how we treat each other now and how we hope to treat each other in the years to come. Imagine you're designing a new park for your town. You don't just start digging. First, you picture it. A quiet reading spot, a playground for kids, maybe a path for walking. You think about what makes people happy, what makes a community strong. This imagining, this thoughtful planning is like philosophy. It sets the stage. Just as a scientist first imagines a solution to a problem before doing experiments, we, as people, first imagine what a better world might look like. And that's why it matters. Every time you think about fairness or kindness or what you truly believe in, you're not just thinking for yourself. You are adding a tiny brick, an invisible thread, to the big, grand tapestry of tomorrow. Our shared questions, our quiet reflections, they truly do build the path ahead, one thought at a time. It's a slow, beautiful process, and you are already a part of it. What truly makes us special among all living things on this earth? Think about it for a moment. We walk, we eat, we sleep, just like many other creatures. But what sets us apart, what truly elevates us, is the quiet, incredible power that lives right inside our heads, our minds. This power isn't about physical strength or speed. It's about our ability to imagine things that don't exist yet, to feel complex emotions, to understand the past, and to plan for the future. It's the deep well of thought that allows us to ask why and what if. For thousands of years, philosophers, those ancient seekers of wisdom, pondered this very question. People like the ancient Greeks believed the human mind was a unique gift, a piece of something divine, giving us the special ability to reason, to create beauty, and to seek truth. They saw our minds not just as tools for survival, but as windows to understanding the universe itself. Here's how it works in your own life. When you're dreaming up a new story, or figuring out a difficult puzzle in class, or even just picturing what you want to do next summer, that's your mind in action. It's building, connecting, and creating in ways no other animal can. Your mind lets you learn from mistakes you haven't even made yet by imagining what could go wrong. It allows you to feel what another person feels, which is empathy. It helps you design, innovate, and connect ideas that seem totally unrelated. This isn't just memory or instinct. It's a profound capacity to weave new thoughts and possibilities into existence. And that's why it matters. This ability to think, to predict, to imagine, and to deeply understand is our quiet superpower. It's what lets us not just live, but truly grow and shape the world around us. What if the world you see isn't quite the world someone else sees? It's a simple thought, but it opens up a huge question about how we truly experience everything around us. This idea is all about something called perception and how it shapes your reality. Here's how it works. Your brain takes in all this information. From your eyes, you get light and colors. From your ears, you hear sounds. Your skin feels textures and temperatures. Your brain processes all these bits of information and builds a picture. That picture, that unique way you understand and interact with the world through your senses, is your perception. It's like your own personal window to the world. But here's the thing. Is that window showing you everything exactly as it is, or just how your brain decides to put it together? For thousands of years, smart thinkers, like ancient Greek philosophers, asked big questions about this. They wondered if what we see and hear is really the true world, or just what our brains tell us. They thought maybe our senses could play tricks on us, or only show us one part of a bigger truth. They explored the idea that what we call reality might be different for each person, depending on how they perceive it. Think about a dog. It lives in the same room as you, but its nose picks up smells you can't even imagine. Its ears hear sounds too high-pitched for us. So, its reality, based on its perception, is very different from yours, even though you're standing in the exact same spot. This can help you understand that even though we share the same planet, our individual worlds, built through our senses and brains, can be incredibly unique. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? If your reality is built by your perception, then everyone else's reality is built by theirs. And that's why it matters. Understanding this helps us see why people can look at the same thing and feel totally differently about it. It teaches us to be a little more curious and a little more understanding of others' worlds, and maybe even our own. It's a gentle reminder that the world is much bigger and more varied than just what we see. Have you ever just stopped, maybe looking out a window, and truly wondered why things are the way they are? Or why you are here? That quiet, sometimes huge question in your mind, what's the point of all this? That's the beginning of philosophy's biggest hunt. This search for meaning isn't about finding a lost treasure map. Instead, it's about figuring out the deeper reasons behind life itself. It's asking why we feel certain ways, what makes a good life, and what truly matters when everything else fades away. It's about understanding our purpose, if we have one, and what gives our days their value. People have been on this hunt for a very, very long time. Thousands of years ago, thinkers in ancient Greece and other old civilizations started asking these exact same questions. They didn't have smartphones or the internet, so they spent a lot of time just thinking and talking about these big ideas. They wanted to understand the universe and their place in it. And here's the thing, those questions are still important today because they come from deep inside all of us. Think about it like this. Imagine you're listening to a song you really love. It might make you feel happy or calm or even a little sad. You don't just listen to the notes, you try to understand why it moves you. You try to find the feeling, the message, the connection. That's a bit like the search for meaning. We're trying to find the deep, true melody of our own lives. This journey isn't about finding one single answer that works for everyone. It's more about the quiet steps we take as we look, listen, and learn. It's about listening to that soft voice inside that wonders, that hopes, and that wants to understand. Even if some answers stay hidden, the act of searching itself connects us to something bigger. It helps us feel more alive and more deeply ourselves. Have you ever wondered if knowing absolutely everything is even possible? Or what if there's a quiet strength in simply not knowing, in being okay with questions that don't have easy answers? This idea, the wisdom of uncertainty, is about finding peace and even power in not having all the facts neatly lined up. It means understanding that sometimes the biggest breakthroughs, whether in our minds or in the world, come from admitting we don't have it all figured out yet. Think about one of the oldest philosophers we know, Socrates. He walked around ancient Athens, and he became famous for saying, "I know that I know nothing." This wasn't him saying he was clueless. Instead, he meant that the more he learned, the more he realized how much more there was to learn. He understood that true wisdom wasn't about having every answer, but about understanding the limits of your own knowledge and staying curious. It was about being humble enough to keep asking, to keep exploring. Here's the thing, this isn't just an old idea. It's how we learn and grow every day. Imagine you're trying to solve a new puzzle or build something completely new for the first time. You don't start knowing exactly how every piece fits or every step you need to take. You try things, you might fail, and then you learn. Sometimes, the most creative solutions appear when you're forced to think differently because the known path isn't working. It's like a scientist exploring the deep ocean. They don't know exactly what they'll find, and that uncertainty is what drives discovery. So, embracing not knowing everything isn't a weakness. It's a quiet courage, a gentle openness that lets new ideas in. It keeps our minds flexible and our hearts ready for what's next. It's a powerful way to live because it means we never truly stop learning, growing, and wondering about the amazing mysteries of the world around us. And that's why it matters. Have you ever felt a quiet thought stir within you, like a tiny seed, and watched it slowly, then powerfully, begin to grow? It's a beautiful mystery, isn't it? How something invisible, just an idea in our mind, can bloom into something real, something we do. Here's the thing. Our thoughts are not just whispers in the quiet corners of our brains. They are like tiny sparks that, when tended, can ignite a whole new fire. Philosophers for thousands of years have grappled with this. Ancient Greek thinkers wondered how we move from just knowing something to actually doing something. They saw that our understanding of the world, our beliefs, naturally push us towards certain actions. It's like building a blueprint in your mind first, and then, piece by piece, building the actual house. The idea is the invisible starting point, the spark that begins the entire journey towards change. It shows us that our inner world, what we believe and imagine, often comes first, before anything truly shifts in the outer world. Take something simple, like a student who thinks, I really want to understand algebra better. That thought, that desire, isn't just a fleeting feeling. It turns into action, asking the teacher for help, staying after class, practicing problems at home. And then, slowly, the grades start to change and the understanding grows. See, the initial thought, that quiet intention, led to a series of choices, a path of action, and finally, a different outcome. This is how ideas, even wild, seemingly impossible ones, can begin to reshape our world. A philosopher might dream of a more just society, or a scientist might imagine a way to cure a disease. These thoughts, if strong enough, can become the driving force for revolutions, for inventions, for movements that change everything. So, consider the gentle power of your own mind. Every choice, every creation, every act of kindness or courage began as a flicker of thought. It's a quiet reminder that what we nurture within our minds holds the potential to paint the landscape of our future, one deliberate brushstroke at a time. And that's why it matters. Have you ever wondered what truly remains of a person after they're gone? Beyond memories, beyond photos, what lasting mark can someone leave on the world? For philosophers, it's not just about their lives, but the very ideas they share. This is what we call a legacy. The important things, like thoughts, values, or even discoveries, that continue to exist and affect people long after the person who created them is gone. It's like leaving a path for others to follow, or a light that continues to shine in the darkness, guiding future generations. Think about it this way. Thousands of years ago, people like Plato and Aristotle in ancient Greece sat and pondered big questions. They thought about what makes a good society, what justice really means, and how we can truly know things. Their discussions, written down in old texts, weren't just dusty words. No, they became the very roots of how we think about government, law, and even education today. And then, much later, thinkers during a time called the Enlightenment imagined a world where everyone had basic rights and freedoms. Their powerful ideas helped spark revolutions and shape the democracies many of us live in now. It's a bit like dropping a small pebble into a calm pond. That pebble is an idea. When it hits the water, it sends out ripples. Those ripples spread wider and wider, touching distant shores that the original pebble never could have reached on its own. One philosopher's profound insight, maybe written centuries ago, becomes a ripple. That ripple touches another thinker, then another, shaping laws, inspiring art, or even changing how everyday people think about their lives. This continuous spread of influence is the legacy. So, the next time you hear about an old philosopher, remember they aren't just names in a history book. Their thoughts are living things, still whispering to us across time. They remind us that our own ideas, our questions, and the way we choose to live can also send out ripples. What kind of ripples do you hope to leave behind? A blueprint for tomorrow, ancient wisdom for new challenges. What if the biggest challenges we face today, from figuring out who we are to building a fair world, aren't entirely new? What if the answers, or at least a powerful blueprint, have been waiting for us, whispered through the ages by minds long gone. Think about it like this. A blueprint is a detailed plan, a map for building something. An ancient wisdom, that's like a set of old but incredibly strong and precise blueprints for understanding life itself. Here's the thing. When we talk about ancient wisdom, we're not just talking about dusty old books. We're talking about the deep insights of philosophers, those curious thinkers who lived thousands of years ago. They watched people, they studied the stars, they asked big questions about right and wrong, happiness, and what it means to be truly human. Figures like Plato from ancient Greece imagined an ideal city, a perfect society. He believed that if everyone understood their place and worked together for the good of all, a just and peaceful community could thrive. Or take the Stoics, another group of ancient philosophers. They taught that while we can't control what happens to us, we can always control how we react. This isn't just history. It's a way of looking at our own lives. Think about how much time you might spend worrying about things you can't change, like what others think of you online. The Stoics would say, focus on what's inside your power, your own actions, your own kindness, your own effort. That's a blueprint for inner peace, right there. These ancient thinkers who died centuries ago left behind ideas that still shine a light on our modern world. They saw patterns in human behavior, in our desires, our fears, our search for meaning that are still true today. So, when we face a new problem, we don't have to start from zero. We can look to these old blueprints, not to copy them exactly, but to find the timeless shapes, the foundational ideas that can help us build a better tomorrow, piece by careful piece. It's a quiet reminder that some truths echo forever. Have you ever stopped to think about how ideas themselves grow and change just like we do? It's a quiet, powerful thing, this unfolding of thought. We often imagine philosophy as something ancient, set in stone, full of wise sayings from people who lived thousands of years ago. And yes, those old ideas are like deep roots, holding us steady. But here's the thing. Philosophy isn't a finished book gathering dust on a shelf. It's a living conversation, constantly being written by every new question we ask. Think of it like this. Early philosophers, like the great thinkers in ancient Greece, asked big questions about truth, beauty, and what it means to be good. Their ideas were groundbreaking, truly remarkable for their time. But as human knowledge grew, as science showed us new things about the universe, and as societies changed, those old ideas were re-examined. People didn't just accept them blindly. Instead, new thinkers came along, read the old books, and then they added their own thoughts. Sometimes agreeing, sometimes gently challenging, sometimes offering a completely new way to see things. It's a bit like how our understanding of the human brain has evolved. For a long time, we knew our brains helped us think, but we didn't understand the tiny electrical signals or the complex connections. Now, with science, we know so much more about how memories form, how emotions work, or what happens when we dream. This new knowledge doesn't make the old observations wrong, it just adds layers, makes our picture richer and more detailed. Philosophy works the same way with big questions about life and reality. It builds brick by brick, idea by idea, never truly finished. It's a continuous journey, a gentle push forward into the unknown, always seeking, always wondering. And that's why it matters, because our understanding is always growing, always becoming more.